This is ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week.
Welcome to the Alamodome here in San Antonio. It's a homecoming for Texan Chase Daniel, playing his last game in his illustrious career as a Missouri Tiger. The purple pride of the Northwestern Wildcat faithful will rise and fall with sensational tailback Tyrell Sutton. It will be a night to remember in the Alamo City. Welcome to ESPN College Football, the Valero Alamo City Bowl. Tonight, number 21, Missouri, out of the Big 12 Conference, takes on number 23, Northwestern, from the Big 10. And out of the South Tunnel, here come the North champions of the Big 12 Conference, the Missouri Tigers. Let's go down to Jack Arute with the head coach of the Northwestern Wildcats. Jack?
Well, in just 3 short years, head coach Pat Fitzgerald brings his team to the bowl game, the Alamo Bowl. Coach, you had a couple of minutes with the team in the locker room. What were your final words?
Well, we're talking about those that are defending our country, and to Brian Cunningham and Tasker Trident out there in Afghanistan, we're playing this one for you. Thanks, Jack.
Coach.
Thanks, Jack.
Ron, what he's talking about, he's dedicating it to a fellow that has been a pen pal of the team for over a year. They received a note from him and a flag that was displayed above Afghanistan's final outpost of freedom just 10 short days ago.
Okay, Jack, and say welcome to the Wildcats of Northwestern from the Big 10 Conference. Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham, and welcome to the Alamo City. 2 ball clubs that have a lot in common and yet are very different. Both clubs with 9 wins, but Jack, in visiting with the players, with the coaches, it's almost 180 degrees difference as far as approach and what they feel about this game tonight.
Yeah, for Northwestern, it was easy. Getting to a bowl game was a very big deal. Last year, they weren't invited even though they were eligible. But for Gary Pinkel and his staff in Missouri, they've had to get everybody focused back on and talk about respect. The respect that they've built over the last several years. Tonight means a lot about that respect. And it all starts, of course, as it always does, with Chase Daniel. The fine quarterback. He had a little tail off there in the middle of the season, threw some picks that he normally doesn't throw. But he was so focused and ready for this game yesterday when we met with him. And, of course, having Jeremy Macklin and Chase Kaufman are such a big help for your quarterbacks. But it was interesting in talking to Mike Hankwitz, the defensive coordinator for Northwestern. He said everybody overlooks Derek Washington. This young man averaged over 6 yards per carry, and that is the guy, believe it or not, that Mike Hankwitz is most concerned about containing.
As far as Northwestern offensively, Tyrell Sutton, capable of being an all Big 10 running back, but he broke a wrist, had to have surgery on it. As of a week and a half ago, I was hearing no way he's going to play. Now, am I in for a surprise? He's been working out and looking 100%.
Unbelievable. Just a few days ago, we found out that Tyrell Sutton was going to be able to play in this ball game. They thought his season was over when he broke that wrist against Indiana. He's got that cast. He's very good out of the backfield. They move him around. It'll be interesting to see. Probably won't be able to carry the ball much in that, but in warm-ups, looked pretty good and able to catch the ball.
So each team will be looking for their 10th win here in the River City tonight. Missouri and Northwestern, a real catfight. We'll be right back with the opening kickoff from San Antonio. Tonight's ESPN College Football is presented in high definition, live and in color. And we go from a live shot of the Alamo here in San Antonio inside the dome. And Jack, down to you with head coach Pinkel.
Let's check with Gary Pinkel. Coach, when you talked to your team, what did you tell them was going to be the key to victory tonight for the Tigers?
Well, we just got to play high energy and very focused. I think in bowl games, to get focused and get rid of all the stuff is critically important, and hopefully we can do that.
Ron, good luck, Coach.
All right, Jack. Missouri has won the toss, and rather than deferring, Missouri says, we want the football because of this guy right here. The question I ask you, though, just nobody kicks to him anymore. Would he see a kickoff tonight?
Not from what we saw during warm-ups for Northwestern. All of their kickers were working on pooch kicks, and you'd be very smart not to kick it to Jeremy Macklin.
Villarreal prepares to kick it off for Northwestern. The Big Ten against the Big 12, and here it is, a high pooch kick coming down at the 25-yard line. On a return of only 2 yards, Jimmy Jackson, one of the upbacks, made the reception on the kick. Chase Daniel playing his final game as a Missouri Tiger in what has been a very illustrious career.
Interesting, he followed Brad Smith, who had such a great career and helped put Missouri back on the map. Chase Daniel has helped raise it another notch. 2 years in a row, Big 12 North champions.
From that customary shotgun with an empty backfield, the Tigers to throw on first down. Too high. Complete at the 32-yard line. Derek Washington out of the backfield. Number 24, the intended receiver.
And Washington, a guy, beginning of the year, Tony Temple, of course, who had that huge game in last year's Cotton Bowl. People wondering what he would add, and this is a new wrinkle where they're able to walk him out to a wide receiver position.
Which means Spoor to the top of your screen. That's him that comes back toward the line in motion. And now hand it off to him, and he'll go for a couple of yards, and then that's it. And this Northwestern crowd loving the fact right now that Missouri will be scrimmaging with a third down and long is Corey Wooten. First team all Big Ten defensive end is there to make the stop.
And Wooten, one of the record number of underclassmen who checked in on his NFL draft status, came back a little lower than he wanted to, needs another year in the weight room, but Wooten has been dominant this year, and this is the type of down where he can really put his hand on the ground and come after.
Third down in the line to make. He's out at the 38. Chase Daniel. Good protection. Got a man, throws it to guess who? Kaufman is tight end. He's going to have the first down according to where the official has marked it across the way. By about a half a yard, he will have the first. Kaufman is such a huge, wonderful target. I mean, it is almost without saying who you're going to go to. You go to him.
And I don't know that there's a player in the country with a better set of hands. I was talking to Dave Christensen, the offensive coordinator from Missouri, who, of course, after this ball game will take off to be the head coach at Wyoming. And he said, Ed, I've never seen him drop a pass, forget in games, but even in practice. And I think this young man's going to go to an NFL team and become a really productive NFL tight end. He's a solid blocker, not a great blocker. But that set of hands and how well he moves in space for how big he is, he's going to have a long, long NFL career.
Well, referee Jack Christensen says it is first down. And we have talked about him before. Prejudice, yes, he is a good friend. Jack Childress, I think, certainly the best in the ACC and one of the best officials in the country. I think he, along with Steve Shaw and a couple of other guys, are on a plateau all their own. First down from the 39. They fake the run, middle screen, and here's Macklin. First time tonight. And you can see the crowd just becomes electric when he touches the ball, because if you're a Missouri fan, you know that once he gets it, when he's in space, you got trouble if you don't have a good tackler on him in a hurry.
Well, that's the one thing Dave Christensen and David Yost, who will take over as offensive coordinator in 2009, and all of the offensive staff at Missouri have done a great job finding different ways to get number 9 the ball. He leads the nation in all-purpose yardage.
Second down. Daniel, far sideline, throws this one complete, and that's to Tommy Saunders. what they call the Z wide receiver, senior out of Kearney, Missouri. He is one of the team captains. And Sherrick McManus made the tackle for Northwestern. Now what we're seeing is a hurry up, and Missouri is capable of really hurrying up. This is the moderate flow. They go with the running play. Washington. Whoa, he gets smacked down on first down. Looked as though he had space, 2 yards, and he disappeared. That is Quatang, the linebacker. Prince Quatang, a senior out of Munster, Indiana.
Some injuries for Northwestern throughout the year. They lost Malcolm Arrington, their starting middle linebacker. Nate Williams had to step up, and Prince Quatang did a really nice job of stepping his game up when they lost his linebacker mate.
Daniel, here comes pressure. Rolls to his right, going to run it. Now he pumped it, and there was nobody even on that side of the field. Defensive end didn't have time to look and see if he was faking or not. Brian Peters forced him out of bounds.
You know, it's interesting. This time of year, you have to start talking about seniors and declared underclassmen about their NFL draft status. And, you know, I don't know where Chase Daniel is going to be drafted. Probably a little later than he should, in my opinion, though. His competitiveness, he's a good athlete. He's got plenty of arm. I think he's going to make a fine NFL quarterback.
I couldn't agree with you more. This is the 8th play of the drive. Have watched him in the state of Texas as a high school player, and then come to Missouri and emerge as a truly outstanding quarterback. Forget 6 feet tall. He's a winner. Throws the pass a little too high, and now intercepted. Picked off by Brian Peters, redshirt freshman out of Pickerington, Ohio.
Looked like there was some confusion.
2 receivers right there together.
Yeah, it looked like there was some confusion in the route. Daniel's going to throw it over to the right. Absolutely. Yeah, 2 receivers standing right there. You've got Jared Perry and Macklin. Hard to tell which one made the mistake, but certainly they're not supposed to be running around right to the same spot. They fight for the ball, and unfortunately it's a turnover for Daniel, but not his fault.
C.J. Bechet comes in at quarterback, the senior out of Sacramento, and Tyrell Sutton is back, and here he goes on the first carry, and you see what a lightning bolt he can become. That is a quick 7 yards, as quick as you'll see, and the linebackers are out of play at that point right there if he's not stumbling.
Remember last year we did that Ohio State Northwestern game, and Tyrell Sutton, who missed 5 games last year, 4 this year with the wrist injury. And when he wasn't able to play, you could just see the wind come out of the sails of Northwestern. He is a difference maker for them on offense.
Peterman in motion. Pass goes to the other side. And boy, what a wallop, but it's a first down as the ball is thrown at the 48-yard line to Rasheed Ward, a senior out of Chicago, played at Harper High School in the Windy City.
Well, it's good to see. If you're a Northwestern fan, Bechet zips this one in there. A little helmet-to-helmet contact by Weatherspoon.
Weatherspoon, a junior, one of the youngsters we'll talk about who could be looking at the NFL draft. Bechet, quick look in, got it again, and undoubtedly they like that underbelly, and they're finding it open. They're going to be short of the first. It'll be a 3rd down at about 2.5. Again, Ward, the receiver.
And here goes Northwestern in their hurry-up.
Bechet standing there clapping his hands, then turned around and looked at the bench, and he's got a real signal with 2 dummies to the outside or maybe to the inside, who knows.
Dummy signals, that is.
Dummy signals is what you know what I was referring to. Straight ahead, Sutton, and I don't think Sutton has it. It's going to be very close, but it will be a decision for the young head coach, Pat Fitzgerald. You're inside the 40-yard line, the first possession of the night, and nobody from special teams is moving right now. So I would assume 3rd down, I beg your pardon, 3rd down at about 1.5 yards.
And don't be surprised with a play action here and a possible throw of a fade to the outside, because I think you'd go for it on 4th down at this point of the field.
Under center this time for Bechet. Woodson comes in at fullback. Sutton with the block of Woodson takes it straight ahead for the Northwestern first down at the 35-yard line. Brock Christopher, middle linebacker out of Kearney, Missouri, a senior, 6'2", 240, made the tackle.
Sutton has awfully fresh legs. He missed those 4 games. He was able to continue to work out. It was a wrist injury, so he could still run. He looks incredibly quick. He looks like the quickest guy on the field right now.
I would not want to be in space with a one-on-one situation with him. Gonna go long, deep over the middle, got a man open at the 10, at the 5, Eric Peterman, end zone, touchdown Northwestern.
Northwestern got the matchup they wanted on William Moore, the safety. Good move at the line of scrimmage.
And he stumbled. It looked as though just a little, which also helped the Northwestern cause. Villarreal with the extra point attempt. Knocks it right down the middle. So let's go to break. And one more look. C.J. Bechet throws a perfect strike. Peterman into the end zone, and it's the Wildcats, 7-0.
We're on the Riverwalk in Valero's hometown of San Antonio with thousands of college football fans enjoying the warm Texas hospitality. As title sponsor, Valero is proud to bring the excitement of the Valero Alamo Bowl to fans across the nation. This year's matchup between Northwestern and Missouri promises great excitement and energy. So whether you're a Wildcat or a Tiger or just a fan of great football, we hope you're having fun and enjoying the game. On behalf of the Valero family all across America, be safe as you hit the highways this holiday and have a great New Year.
Welcome back to San Antonio inside the Alamodome. 7-0 as you look at Eric Peterman visiting with one of his fellow receivers. And after the kickoff here, we'll go to the camera that we call the All-22, which shows both offense and defense, and give you a better look, and Ed will explain how and why Peterman got so open. Peterman is one of the captains. It was one of the guys yesterday that I got a chance to visit with at the luncheon. And I asked him about being huge underdogs, and he simply said, if we listen to what Coach Fitz says, he has gotten us so far. Just do what we do, and we'll be fine in this ball game. High spinner. Fair catch is called for and made at the 36-yard line.
Well, and you just saw Peterman showing him. He used his hands. He went like he was breaking outside, and then he clubbed back across the face of Moore with his hands. It's almost like a pass rush technique where you slap and you swim, and as Moore went to turn, he completely fell. There's no safety over the top. Good read by Bechet, but it was a great start to the route by Peterman that got it going.
So Chase Daniel and company come back on the field, this time trailing 7-0. And he'll hand it off to Washington. Washington stumbles, then gets helped to the turf. It'll be a gain of about 1.5 yards as Hahn tripped him up.
Well, it's been a whirlwind month for Dave Christensen, the offensive coordinator. They're going to go fast again.
Washington has 5 and then gets whacked down at the 41. Go ahead.
It's hard to talk about these guys when they go this fast, but it's been a whirlwind month. Dave Christensen was named the head coach at Wyoming, the first staff change at Missouri in 8 years. I've known Dave since he was a graduate assistant at Washington. Wyoming got a very good coach, and he's going to do extremely well in the Mountain West Conference for the Cowboys.
Here, here. Not only a good fellow, good coach. Third down, line to make the 46. Pass over the middle. That is not going to be enough for the first down. Northwestern looks right now as though they're glancing into the Missouri playbook.
Yeah, and remember, this is first-year defense coordinator Mike Hankwit's defense. That was a change that Pat Fitzgerald decided to make, and Mike Hankwit's a veteran guy. He's been a defense coordinator since 1982.
Well, he also has been in this conference, and it's not his first rodeo as far as seeing some of these other teams and their offenses as well.
And you get, the extra practices. You have almost a month to get ready. With a veteran coach like Hankwitz, it does look like Northwestern's in the right place almost every play so far.
Fourth down. Jake Harry prepares to kick it in the left footer. Well, this is a driving spiral, driving Smith all the way back to the 10-yard line, and Brendan Wisely calls for a fair catch. 45 yards in the boot, and as we take a timeout, the Wildcats of Northwestern on top.
ESPN College Football, the Valero Alamo Bowl, is brought to you by Valero, the all-American gasoline, all across America. By the all-new 09 F-150. It's not just a new truck, it's a new F-150. And by Capital One Card Lab at CapitalOne.com. What's in your wallet?
Back in the Northwestern football offices, since the beginning of the season, there has been a sign that has been posted. It's the goals for the Northwestern Wildcat team. Consistently prepare for victory. But the most important one, do you see it there? Number 2, win a bowl game. They have not won a bowl game in over 60 years. I believe, Ron Franklin, you were about 6 years old the last time they did.
Oh, I was not even born, Jack. We won't go there anymore. Running play, and it's Sutton, and this time, boy, he gets whacked down hard. That ball, did it come loose at the 11-yard line? Well, he took quite a hit from Brock Christopher and also Jacquez Smith. It'll be second down, sorry.
And Sutton's going to have a hard time. He's going to have to carry it, I think, in his right arm, just to be careful. Even though he's got his grip back and he can move that wrist, I don't think he's going to be able to carry in that left arm, or it is going to get knocked out and he's going to fumble something.
Second down and 9. Here comes pressure. Pass knocked away on a nice defensive stop, and that's Sean Weatherspoon. They're not booing. That is for Spoon.
And Missouri needed some type of defensive stand here. A little bit of momentum was going Northwestern's way. And this defense has really struggled against the pass. 285 yards per game, 117th in the country.
That's a 245-pound linebacker.
He can move.
And you see why the NFL is interested in him coming out early. Third down, line to make is the 20. Sutton resets, and they throw to him out of the backfield. Great play. 20, 25, 30. He's loose. William Moore makes the stop as the ball came loose. 44 yards in the play, and let's see. First down, Missouri.
Well, it wasn't much of a hit by William Moore.
He ran into him, actually.
Yeah.
Sutton did.
Moore had the angle. Watch right at the end. Moore has the angle. Sutton goes to make a move. And you wonder if it's the rust. Didn't play the last 4 ball games, Sutton.
It's out, though.
Yeah.
This is definitely a good call. The ball is already out. And you see number 38, that's Shulock. Striker Shulock, a senior out of Rockdale, Texas. With all this happening so quickly, there is a flag back at the line of scrimmage. We were all looking 44 yards down the field. The play is also under review. But from what we could see on the replay, it appeared that what they called on the field was right on. The ball was out before he was down.
A huge, huge break for Northwestern. I believe they got Missouri for offsides. If there was, in fact, a penalty against Missouri, there's no real reason to review this as far as I'm concerned. Well, there would be, because they could decline the penalty and get 44 yards.
Yeah.
So there is a reason, but
well, wait a minute. No. But then they would lose the ball.
Good point.
Yeah. So what you're going to do is take the 5-yard penalty and make it a third down at about 2.5.
Right. So yeah,
here's Jack with the call.
After review, it was confirmed that there was a fumble and it was recovered by the defense. However, there is offside by the defense. That penalty will be accepted.
See, that's
5 yards.
You got to lose about 39 yards, but who cares? You got the football.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, at the end of the play, if they decline that, the ball goes to Missouri. So they take the penalty to be able to keep the ball. And Missouri, I believe, lined up in the neutral zone.
Yep.
I think the guy covering the slot, is lined up in the neutral zone. That is a humongous mental error. Those are the ones.
Yeah, the flag comes out right there as he lined up. He wasn't even close. So Gary Pinkel looks on and says, wow, we're going to blow an opportunity here. But it is third down, and actually it's going to be closer to 4 yards for the first.
Yeah, and it's William Moore who was lined up in the neutral zone. So he goes down and makes a great play, but cost his team with a mental error pre-snap.
Simmons in the ball game at tailback, and he has joined the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage. Flag as Peterman gets the pass, and he will have the first down. And let's see, I'm not so sure if the Tigers weren't offside again. Yep.
Offside, defense number 2. That penalty is declined. First down.
Well, Gary Pinkel, you could see the frustration all over his face. Brian Coulter is the man trying to get a head start, and there he is before the ball is snapped.
Well, this is just going to drive Coach Pinkel and his staff crazy.
Particularly if they get points on this drive.
They had a turnover, great field position, and now they've given Northwestern some space from their own goal line. Now they can run any play they want. This is not going well.
You're right. Play calling is a lot different here. They pull the guard for protection. Boucher cuts in front of his blocker, then fights forward for about 5 yards. Reese Davis, how are you tonight, my friend?
I'm doing great, Ron. Good to talk to you. Sports Center right now. 3 NFL teams making coaching changes. Browns, Lions, Jets all fire their guys. Despite Federico Mangini had 2 winning seasons and 3 campaigns as the head coach of the Jets. And Andre Smith, the Outland Trophy winner and All-American left tackle for Alabama, suspended for the Sugar Bowl, will not play against Utah. Sports Center after the game. Stay current, ESPN News.
Okay, Reese, thanks so much. Look forward to visiting with you over the course of the night. Blitz up the middle. They throw a corner screen, and Tyrell Sutton puts a hand down, maintains his balance, and all that effort, he'll wind up with a gain of about 1.5 yards. Carl Geddes is the man who got a piece of him, and it was Weatherspoon who was coming, and he was untouched on the blitz.
And you see why Sutton is such a big deal. And even with that cast on the left wrist, we were asking them about being able to catch the ball, and they said, guys, he's been able to move his wrist just enough. It's not quite a full hard brace. It does move some, and you saw there on the screen not only catch it, but then able to put the hand down to keep his balance.
It is third down. If they want to keep it going, they have to take it to the 34-yard line. Wildcats lead it 7-0. Boucher has a man, and what a catch at the 38-yard line. And that is Russ Lane, a senior out of Fort Myers, Florida, who caught 55 balls over the year.
And Boucher looks as comfortable as I've seen him in a long time. And it was interesting talking to Mike McCall. Like Hankwitz, the defense coordinator, in his first season, he said being able to play in those last 2 games, remember he missed 2 games with a hamstring injury, really settled him down. He seemed to really focus in at the end of the season for us.
Sutton rode him into the line and then handed it off. It'll be a gain of a couple. And let's check into the sideline and Jackaroo.
Fellas, I've been watching and studying Tyrell Sutton, and Ed, you were talking about maybe a little concerns. We've got a timeout for an injury as to whether he would feel comfortable carrying the ball in that left hand with that soft cast. He has done it comfortably, but one thing I did notice, Ed, it's not quite as secure, so we'll have to stay on top of it. But he does take it to the left hand.
Yeah, the fumble, he actually had it in his right arm, and I think that might have just been the rust of not having played for the last month of the season.
So we're going to take a timeout as they attend to starting right tackle Desmond Taylor. 7-0. Wildcats on top.
Bowl week continues with the Capital One Bowl, New Year's Day at 1 Eastern on ABC.
Desmond Taylor, the injured right tackle, has come to the bench, and Kurt Mattis will come in, number 78, a junior out of Larksville, Pennsylvania. He had 2 starts this year, then had a knee injury. Taylor took over, so it's not as though he does not have experience. Average yards per play, Missouri 3.1, Northwestern 6.6.
And this offensive line for Northwestern has been a huge surprise. One of the reasons they were picked in the back half of the Big Ten, they were returning no starters on their offensive line. These were all first-year starters with 3 freshmen. And you can see early on why they've had so much success.
Keep an eye to the bottom of your screen. Number 25, Stephen Simmons, a reserve tailback. He is at the very bottom of your screen. And Missouri needs to keep an eye because of the 5 wide receivers. He's going to get single attention. They throw it back into the middle, trying to throw that bubble screen, and nothing doing as Peterman caught the ball, and he got belted by Sean Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon so far tonight not only has been the big hitter, he is totally impressive physically. Boy, can he run.
First team all Big 12. He's roommates with Jeremy Macklin. Both of them have put their name into the NFL to see where they may be drafted. So he's on the fence as well to decide after tonight's game and through next week whether he'll declare by the January 15th deadline.
9th play of the drive. Boucher intercepted at the 45-yard line by Brock Christopher. Couldn't hold on. I beg your pardon. Got there, dropped it. So now it's punting time, and at least Missouri can breathe a little easier on the fumble they didn't get.
Yeah, and I think that Desmond Taylor's injury really helped Missouri. It slowed down the momentum they'd gotten after that fumble was overturned because of the penalty, and it seems like they lost a little of their momentum when they had to take that long break for Keller to come out of the game.
You go back and look at the replay. Peterman rounded off the route instead of keeping it straight, which also aided in the interception. Here's the left footer. Well, this is another really nice punt. Fair catch is called for back at the 15-yard line. That's 45 on the first one, 44 on this one. Capital One Bowl Week continues on ESPN tomorrow with 2 games at 4:30 Eastern. The Roadies Humanitarian Bowl, Maryland against Nevada. Then at 8 o'clock, the Pacific Life Holiday Bowl, number 13 Oklahoma State takes on number 17 Oregon. Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN tomorrow.
I think that Holiday Bowl might be one of the best ones of the season, BCS or not. That's going to be a fun game to watch.
Chase Daniel throws the pass complete to Tommy Saunders, and Saunders being pushed back and knocked down at the 18. Let's go back to Jack Arute.
Guys, you might think the way Northwestern's defense is playing that Dave Christensen might change things up. That is not the case. Told me he's going to start with 57 scripted plays, except on third down scenarios. He's going down 1 through 57 right now.
On second down, throws to a wide open receiver on the sideline, and that is Alexander. Denario Alexander makes the catch and then steps out of bounds.
And that is part of the system that Dave Christensen, Gary Pinkel, and the entire offensive staff developed over the last several years, and that's David Yost to Christensen's right. He'll take over as offensive coordinator. Those guys have worked hand in glove for the last couple of years. Should be much of a drop-off, except personnel-wise.
Daniel throws this one complete to Tommy Saunders, and he's going to be hit and knocked back. And the one thing that Missouri has to be careful of, they're down by only 7, but against Texas, they got lulled into a situation they didn't score, Longhorns did, and then all of a sudden they became impatient. Daniel finds a man. He's got Kaufman at the 42. And that is short of the first down.
And talking to the coaches this week from Missouri, that was the one thing they did say. Chase Daniel maybe tried to put a little too much on himself. And in games like at Texas and against Oklahoma State and even Kansas at the end of the season, when they got behind, he tried to force it a little bit. Had too many turnovers. He had 8 interceptions in their 4 losses. So they talked about him forcing. He doesn't look like he's forcing it so far tonight.
Blitz off the corner. Daniel's going to run it. He'll have enough for the first down and a lot more. And that right there is something that people are surprised at. Chase Daniel is by no means a medium-speed quarterback. He can run well.
You know, it's almost like Colt McCoy. You only think of ththese guys as passers. Of course, McCoy set an NCAA record with 77.6% completion. Daniel was right behind him. Second now at 74%, but both of them can tuck and run really well.
Pass too high at the 30-yard line as Missouri really played hurry up there.
Chase Daniel's parents, not far. A lot of quarterbacks around the country, not just in the Big 12, but around the country from here in Texas. We talked about it all season, Ron. The 7-on-7 drill in high school has changed football in this state forever.
Andrew Jones being pushed back. They'll say forward progress to the 37. And very quickly right back to the line of scrimmage. Chase and I talked about that yesterday at the luncheon, and he is a huge proponent of what it does for everybody, offensive and defensive, the 7-on-7 competition and drills. Throws another one complete to Tommy Saunders, and out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Prince Quatang is there to make the stop, and it's a gain of 12.
It looks like Kevin Mims, defensive end for Northwestern, down near the sideline.
You know, one of the things about the 7-on-7 competition, when you look at the absolute plethora of young Texas quarterbacks, that all of a sudden Texas has always had great football players coming out of high school, but they've never had as many super quarterbacks, and it's all appearing to be coming off just what you said.
Yeah, and that 7-on-7 drill, it's the defensive backs and linebackers versus the wide receivers, running backs, and quarterback. And at the high school level, they've now allowed that to be a competitive venture in the spring and summer. And they actually have camps and competitions where all of the high schools can come together. There's no linemen. It's all just the specialists, the wide receivers, and defensive backs. And because of that, these quarterbacks that are coming into college now understand spacing. They understand the passing game. A little different when you get a pass rush in front of you, of course, when you're playing teams like Oklahoma and Texas.
You know, though,
but it's changed this game.
Even the defensive coaches for Oklahoma said to us, hey, the defensive backs are gaining a world of information and improving, that they even have kids that come in and say, we did this in high school, we tweaked it and did it this way. They said, you know, some really good ideas from those high school coaches.
And you never know when new offenses start to come around, like the spread that Missouri runs and Texas Tech. Where did it really come from? Did it come from the high school up, the college down? And of course, now you're seeing in the NFL with the Wildcat formation the Dolphins are running. That obviously came up from Arkansas and what they were doing for a couple of years there. But the one thing that is for sure, this offense is here to stay for a while, and I believe it's because of what they're doing at the high school level. You don't need to retrain them. You bring a kid in, he's seen crossing routes, he's seen quick timing routes, the slant, all of those things that they need to see in the spread. So why try to reinvent what these young men are learning at that level?
Quick out pass into the flat. There's Macklin. Gets by one, gets by two. Tackle going to be made very close to the first down. And that goes back to a very simple thing. You get him in space, and you better be close, or you better be a terrific one-on-one tackler. Otherwise, you won't get it.
Yeah, and this is part of the inventiveness of this offense. Talking to Mike Hankwitz, the defense coordinator, said, I have never seen this much offense a team can run formations and plays.
Derek Washington takes the ball for the first down inside the 15. One of the things that even Chase Daniel would tell you, he is from South Lake Carroll High School, South Lake, Texas, just outside of Dallas. And when he comes to this state, he wants to fare well. Well, this is his farewell, and he wants to look good tonight. Not just for his family, but for everybody in the state of Texas who has enjoyed his talents for so many years. That running play will go for nothing. Washington stuffed. Maybe even a loss of a half yard on the play.
Well, Mike Hankwitz, the first-year defensive coordinator, was let go at Wisconsin, and the connection was through Gary Barnett. Of course, Gary Barnett was the head coach during that great run in the mid-'90s, and Coach Pat Fitzgerald. And when Mike Hankwitz became available, the first person that Gary Barnett called, he knew Hankwitz when he coached with him at Colorado, said, you need to hire this guy.
12th play of the drive. It started at the 15-yard line, and there's Macklin, and he slides down after the reception. That is the end of the first quarter. And as we take a timeout, the Wildcats of Northwestern, huge underdogs in this ball game, leading 7-0. But the Cats of Missouri threatening. So we are back at the Valero Alamo Bowl at a rapid first quarter. And very close as far as time of possession. Jimmy Jackson has come into the backfield, a senior, 5'9", 200 out of Caruthersville, Missouri. He wears number 1. Look at Daniel on this drive. 8 of 9, 56 yards. 13th play of the drive coming up right here. Daniel steps up. gets it away deep in the end zone, overthrows it. Alexander was the closest. So it'll be 4th down.
And I don't mind that throw by Daniel as one of the most, if not the most accurate kicker in the history of college football comes out. Wolford. But I didn't mind that choice. There was nobody back to the middle of the field for Northwestern, so you can't throw that ball back across the middle. And he put it in a really good spot. Only his guy could get a hand on it. Didn't mind that throw at all.
31 yards will be the attempt. Plenty of distance on the kick and plenty of accuracy, and we've got a 7-3 ball game. Well, heavy underdogs. We talked about the Wildcats of Northwestern. Let's take you back 10 years ago tonight here in this dome. Breeze lofts it for the end zone. Got him there. Touchdown, Isaac Joe. Yesterday at that luncheon, I kiddingly reminded all the players that no matter who was favored or who was the underdog, that the underdog has walked out of here with some big victories. That K-State team was thought to be headed for the BCS, upset by A&M. They come in here, and Purdue was a huge underdog, and you saw what happened. They won it.
And it's so funny when you hear everyone talk about Chase Daniel being 6 feet tall. The guy who threw that pass for the touchdown,
yeah, that's a great point.
He's 6 foot and about 1/4 of an inch. Drew Brees has gone on to a pretty good NFL career. I'm telling you, I've seen Chase Daniel from the first day he walked on campus. This guy is an NFL quarterback. I know he's going to go later than people in Missouri want him, but he's got great quickness on his throws. He's accurate, and we've seen how good of an athlete he is here tonight.
Here's Wolford's kickoff end, going to come down to the 3. And Simmons on the return. Wow. That was on the ankle tackle. And Reese Davis, let's check in with you.
Ron, over on ESPN2 right now, a great opening Big East game between Georgetown and UConn. And Georgetown on the road jumped to an 18-3 lead out of the gate and now lead at 66-51. Huskies are going to have to get busy in the final 5 minutes of the game if they want to avoid their first loss of the season.
Okay, Reese, 7-3 our score. Opening moments of the second quarter. Tyrell Sutton back in the ballgame at tailback, and he'll get the handoff. Right side, has 5, and is going to be tripped up after a gain of about 6 on the play. And he also brings a spark to this football team. Nothing against the other running backs, Simmons and Schmidt. But he's been there, and the coaches say he is an all-conference running back.
And as hard as he worked to get himself back, he had the last 2 seasons were cut short by injury. Last year, he missed 5 games with an ankle and leg injury. This year, the last 4 ball games with that wrist. He was a really a hard worker in the training room as well.
Well, back to his freshman year, over 1,400 yards.
And a young man that just burst on the scene as a true freshman. He was a Big Ten freshman of the year. The next year, he had a shoulder injury as a sophomore, still went for 1,000 yards. And he was on his way to breaking every record at Northwestern. Still could break Damian Anderson's all-time all-purpose yardage here tonight with a good game. But imagine the numbers he would have put up if he hadn't battled those injuries last 2 years.
Straight ahead right here for the first down. And when you look at a year-by-year graphic, and I go back to one of those pictures we just looked at, as you look at what he has done, like in 2008, he still averaged, if you look at the number of games he lost, he still would have been over 100 yards per outing. Didn't you think he looked a lot more svelte in those now than he did in those earlier pictures?
Yeah, he's in incredible shape and worked so hard. Again, with that wrist injury, he's still able to run, get on the bike, do all of those things. So he's in good shape.
Well, Bechet got a high pass from center. I think that was supposed to be a handoff, but he did the wise thing and took it forward. Jackaroo.
You know, we see a lot of toughness in Tyrell Sutton, and Tyrell's dad said, hey, he was tough right from the beginning. When he played Pee Wee ball, he had to play with 9-year-olds when he was only 6. First time out, he was laid out. His dad was worried. He said, son, you okay? He said, I'm all right, Dad. Went the next week, the next game, he laid out the guy that laid him out, and he was 13.
This pass thrown complete, and stepping out of bounds, it is Andrew Brewer, a junior out of Jenks High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, and I think that Sutton is also going to make a fine pro. We're talking about a lot of these guys as seniors, and the reason is Sutton not only can run between the tackles, but he's so good out of the backfield. Once that wrist is completely healed, he's a very good receiver. And you see those utility type of backs, Brian Westbrook with the Philadelphia Eagles. There's a lot of positions, a lot of teams in the NFL that could use a young man like Sutton.
It is a 3rd down. They need 2 yards to pick up the first. Wildcats lead it 7-3. Pressure, ball thrown complete, broken tackle. 15, 20, and now 25 yards beyond the broken tackle. You can put an asterisk by the effort and the reception by Ross Lane, because he turned something golden into something that was going to be about a 2-yarder.
Well, you've got 4 senior wide receivers, a senior quarterback, and they're playing at a very high level right now. That's Geddes who comes up and misses the tackle. You just have to break down. A lot of little mental errors, and I know Missouri said they were ready for this game, but a couple of mental errors are starting to make me think not everybody was on board with Coach Pinkel's message.
Wound up as a 30-yard gain. Going to be a double. Peterman wants to throw, and he is going to be sacked at the 33. What a great defensive effort by Brian Coulter.
It was Weatherspoon who stopped the reverse, and Coulter stayed there. Watch Weatherspoon. Coulter keeps his position very well. But it's Weatherspoon and Coulter that come up to make that play.
Because Coulter was there for contain. That play would not have gone anywhere, even if they were not going to throw, would it?
Yeah, and it was Coulter, remember, with the mental error when he jumped off sides. That time made up for it.
Boy, now it is 2nd down and huge. You got to take it all the way to the 12-yard line. Bechet, screen, left side. Sutton inside the 15. He's all the way down to the 12-yard line. Forget how far they had to pick up. They just picked it up, I believe.
Excellent call by Mike McCall, the offensive coordinator, first year out of Bowling Green. They knew they had a lot of yardage to make up just to even start thinking about a field goal. So he calls a screen, and Missouri just was not ready for that screen at all. And Sutton is playing at an awfully high level. He's the fastest guy on the field that I've seen so far tonight.
Well, they check a fullback into the game again as they go under center. That's Woodson. Keeps the ball, and the ball thrown a little too high, but that may be defensive holding. Josh Rooks, the tight end, the intended receiver.
Yeah, they're going to get Kenji Jackson, the freshman safety. A little too much contact. And this has been the Achilles heel for Missouri all year. They had such high hopes. Remember, they got as high as number 3 in the country after that Nebraska
Pass
win.
interference, number 13 of the defense. That's a spot foul and an automatic 1st down.
And then Oklahoma State exposed it. Texas exposed it. Kansas exposed it. Oklahoma exposed it. Their secondary has just not been very good this year. They've had a couple of injuries. William Moore, their fine safety, has missed some games with an ankle. He had the rib injury. He missed the Big 12, most of the Big 12 championship game. But Gary Pinkel's squad not very good on the back end this year.
So it is a 1st down. The new line of scrimmage is the 4-yard line of Missouri. 9th play of the drive. It started back at the 25. Bechet holds on to the football, and he was knifed under by Sean Weatherspoon. Sean, we believe, we'll check it officially, we've got him for 6 tackles already. He is a junior out of Jasper, Texas, 6'2", 245 pounds. Jasper over in East Texas, just below Lake Sam Rayburn. And you can see already in this ball game how well he runs. Even if he were not 245, he moves well.
The rest of the defense needs to come up to his level. He's ready to play. He's here at this bowl game. He's let everything go that happened during the season that was disappointing. Everyone else needs to step up.
2nd down, Bechet. Here comes pressure. Throws it for the corner in the end zone and just threw it away. Sean Weatherspoon with the pressure. And Justin Garrett, a senior out of Baton Rouge, played at Estroma High School, had very good coverage over in the corner for what could have been a fade route, but he just threw that one away.
Weatherspoon doing an excellent job. And our cameraman was in good position, apparently.
Gus Sims. Nice catch, Gus. Third down and goal, Northwestern. Bechet gonna run at the 5-yard line, is shoved out of bounds, and there was a flag across the way down at the 5. Are you going to tell me Missouri was not offsides again, were they? Good heavens, 3 times in this first half. And the defenders offside on huge play.
The first one.
Offside, number 2 of the defense, half the distance to the goal line. Repeat, third down.
Unbelievable. The first one was a turnover. Of course, Northwestern did not score after that was overturned. But now, on a third down, wow. And this is the second time someone's been lined up in the neutral zone.
Somebody's got to talk to each other, because he is so obviously offside. That is just a no-brainer for the official. Nobody's trying to gang up on Missouri.
Yeah. And I would think Tyrell Sutton has got to be in play here. Maybe a shovel pass.
Well, let's see. It is third down again, and the ball about 2.5 yards away. Bechet looks, throws for the end zone. Nobody there, incomplete. Brandon Mitchell was the closest man to it, and I'm surprised they didn't go your way and try to run the football.
Get them upfield. Sutton's been your best offensive player so far tonight. Get him upfield, maybe run a draw or a shovel or something like that. But Missouri, again, Gary Pinkel, a couple mental errors have not hurt them that bad.
Villarreal, 19 of 23 this year in his career, 32 of 42, and this one's going to be placed down from 21 yards away. And he rips it through, and we again have a 7-point ball game. Northwestern now on top, 10-3 with 9:11 left until halftime. So our score, 10-3, the Wildcats of Northwestern leading. And a reminder, every player can smell the roses. Every team wants its place in history. And every eye is on Pasadena, the granddaddy of them all. Number 8 Penn State against number 5 USC in the 2009 Rose Bowl presented by Citi. Coverage begins New Year's Day at 4:30 Eastern on ABC and ABC HD.
And for Pat Fitzgerald, he was a member of the last Northwestern team that went to the Rose Bowl. Unfortunately, he didn't get to play. He broke his leg, so you would assume he'd love to get back as a head coach and compete in that game.
Villarreal, by the way, has just tied the Wildcats single-season field goal record of 20. Brian Gow, back in 1997, is the man who set it. Here comes the kick, and it's a high poocher, high and a quick spinner. Ball is caught at the 34 by Jackson, and he will bring it to the 43-yard line. So we'll take a timeout. 9:06 left in this opening half, and the Wildcats up by 7.
ESPN College Football, the Valero Alamo Bowl, is brought to you by Chase Freedom, introducing rewards points you can use like cash. Visit chase.com/freedom. By Suzuki Automotive, live large, drive small. And by Wendy's, it's way better than fast food. It's Wendy's.
Great looking aerial shot of downtown San Antonio and the Needle. This city does a marvelous job in putting on this Alamo Bowl, the Valero Alamo Bowl again this year. San Antonio really proves that they are a great can-do city. And of course the world famous Riverwalk is always a fun place to be, whether you're down to get food, to dance, or to maybe have your favorite beverage. 1st and 10 for the Missouri Tigers as they go from their own 43-yard line. I believe this is their best starting position of the night. Daniel. They double the reverse, and here comes Macklin. And finally going to be smacked down, but it's after a gain of 10. It's Brendan Smith who made the tackle.
Well, they've been setting this play up quite a bit, bringing Washington in motion, and this time they come around. Good block downfield by Chase Kaufman right there. If he doesn't finish that block working one-on-one against the safety Arnold, it's probably only a 3 or 4 yard pickup. But that was a nice job by the tight end helping out his teammate.
Chase Daniel with the first down, and this time across midfield. Pressure off the corner on the blitz, has to throw it away, and it's intercepted at the 49-yard line by Wooten. Second turnover, and boy, look at the Northwestern bench. And the man who caused it with the pressure was David Arnold, the redshirt freshman out of Copley, Ohio.
One of the things that Mike Hankwitz, the defensive coordinator, brought was the zone blitz, which means you play zone behind a blitz. And what happens is, freeze it right there, you can see Wooten running into coverage. And Daniel, I don't think, knew that the defensive end had dropped into coverage, thought he was safe to throw it away.
This play is under review.
And it's under review to see if Wooten did, in fact, catch it. But that was something that Mike Hankwitz brought in. Pat Fitzgerald, that looks like he got his arm under it to me. That looks like a catch.
Well, the replay officials have benefit of that same angle that we're looking at right there. So Jack Christensen, or Childress, I should say, goes over to put on the headsets. But I have a feeling that Mr. Childress will get the same reaction from the people upstairs that you just had.
It looks to me the key is that right arm. Does it get up underneath the ball?
Boy, that's...
Yeah, I don't see it hit the ground.
I don't think so either, but it's very hard to tell because of the darkness of the jersey and the football.
And the rule is, if you don't have indisputable video evidence, you cannot overturn it. Now, the verbiage will be interesting. If he says it confirms the call, it means the video showed that he did catch it. He says the play on the field stands is called. It means they weren't quite sure in the video. That's what the different language is that we'll hear from Jack Childress. Or the third thing it'd say is play's been reviewed and overturned.
8 minutes and 39 seconds left until halftime. We have had very few slowdowns in this one. And here comes the call.
After review, the call on the field stands. Interception, first down.
So let's go back a couple of plays on the reverse.
And so Chase Daniel goes to hand this ball off, and who does he block? Wooten, the defensive end. Wooten was keeping contained there, and so Wooten got him back, said, all right, you want to play that game? I'll drop into coverage. If you want to play fullback, I'll play outside linebacker. I'll see your fullback and raise you an outside linebacker and an interception.
Sutton spinning and wound up with a couple of yards. Most people would have been stopped for a loss. Brian Coulter defensively, along with Jacquez Smith, the freshman out of South Oak Cliff, Texas. Very quickly back to the line of scrimmage. C.J. Boucher, quick pass behind the line of scrimmage. Peterman makes the catch and takes it to the 41. Sean Weatherspoon on the tackle again.
You cannot say enough about what Mike Hankwitz has done for this Northwestern team. Forget the defense, but just the team. When you get your defense to play at this level, everyone starts to feed off it. And give Pat Fitzgerald in his third year, he had to make a change. He had to, go and find Mike Hankwitz and get him. But the improvement that they have made on this side of the ball, they've improved by over 11 points per game given up over last year.
Here comes the blitz, and they go straight ahead with the run, and they'll have the first down. And Missouri was fortunate. They covered the blitz well. One more just piece of somebody, and he's in the end zone. And now let's take a look at tonight's Future Pros, brought to you by Yellow Book.
Well, Chase Kaufman, a guy who I've said it time and time again tonight, and I will all night. Just one of the best sets of hands in the country. And I also think Tyrell Sutton, he may not be drafted high. There's going to be questions about his durability, but I also think he's going to have a long time here as well.
Boucher right over the middle, has it complete. There's Sutton again, out of the backfield this time. And you know what his head coach said yesterday before that luncheon? I'm going to play him until he gets tired, bring him out for a couple of plays, and then put him right back in. He was right on. He was truthful, wasn't he? That pass goes incomplete. Rashid Ward, the intended receiver, and Carl Geddes got a little upset with the collision, with the official standing right there. Just told them to maintain cooler heads. Third down now. Third down, they need about 1.5 yards. Northwestern opened the ball game with a stop on defense and then took it right down the field and scored and led 7-0. And then a very, very long drive in the second quarter. The Missouri Tigers came up with a field goal. 6 of 8 on third down conversions for Northwestern. Boucher rolls the pocket, throws the pass a little high, and because of that, the hit caused Jeremy Ebert to turn loose of the football. If he had thrown it lower, I think the defender would have had a tougher time knocking it away.
Yeah, Boucher and just didn't quite get his shoulders turned, and it looks to me like to go for the long field goal. Real comes out, and this is in his range, about the 32-yard line of scrimmage. So
let's see,
well within his range.
His longest this year, 46 against Ohio University. This one is going to be about a half yard longer than that, but they may say officially 46 on this one as well. Waits for the pass, gets a good one. He's got tons of distance, and it is wide left and no good. A lot of distance, but not a lot of accuracy on that one. So we'll stop with the clock. 7:13 remaining halftime. 10-3 Northwestern.
Bowl week continues with the Capital One Bowl, New Year's Day at 1 Eastern on ABC.
And we are back. As you looked at the kicker for Northwestern, rushed it just a little. Northwestern leads at 10-3. And how about Macklin? They have been pooch kicking the ball, and he has not been able to see much as far as kickoffs, but they have been able to get him the ball by way of the pass and also with reverses. Maybe see something unleashed a little deeper, though. Try to stretch this defense a bit. In other words, go vertical now. Daniel, quick out. Throws it a little high, but they got it to Macklin, and there he goes, but he steps out of bounds. Because of the angle, he is out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Brendan Smith was there to take a look at him. Brendan, also one of the captains and one of the young men that we visited with yesterday, and he talked in terms of also if we do what we can do. He said he was not intimidated by Jeremy Macklin. And now a direct snap comes to Macklin. Turns the corner, and Macklin will go down. He'll have the first down, but look at the 3 jerseys on top of him. You don't think Coach Hankwitz has not gotten this Wildcat team totally prepared defensively? Wow. And one of the things that Missouri gets you ready with is an unbalanced line. They've run that a couple of times, and even though they pick up the first down, there's a lot of purple shirts that it feels like that extra couple of weeks of preparation has really helped Northwestern. Wooten looks really good. Pass near sideline, has this one complete, and Northwestern trying to rip the ball away from Jared Perry. Unsuccessfully, he'll have forward progress to the 47. And let's not forget how good this Missouri offense is. Number 6 in the nation and scoring, averaging what, 43.2 points, and tonight they have put a field goal at the 6:15 mark. Wooden with pressure, pass to the near sideline is caught, and then stepping out of bounds with the first down is Tommy Saunders. And there is a flag down. Yeah, I'm not so sure if they didn't get Tommy Saunders for catching the ball. He was out of bounds on the side. You see the official with his hat off. That's right. He threw that. The field judge threw that because Saunders stepped out. In college football, if you're pushed out, you can come back in and be the first to make a play on the ball. If you go out on your own accord.
We have illegal touching. Number 84 of the offense went out of bounds voluntarily, was first to touch the pass. The penalty is a loss of down at the previous spot, 3rd down.
Yeah, big penalty because that was a 1st down. But Saunders, if you in college football, if you go out, if the defender pushes you out, then you can come back in and make the play. But if you go out of your own accord and you make the play on the ball, it's illegal touching.
And a nice job of explanation there is that Jack Childress says, you know, there's no penalty. The penalty is you don't get the forward progress of the catch, but it is a loss of down. So it's 3rd down, and they need to take it just across midfield to the 49. Chase Daniel looks back to the bench, gets the play signaled in. 10-3, Wildcats lead it. Missouri got it incomplete. It was thrown behind Saunders.
And here comes the punt team from Missouri. Well, you're at 4th and 3, but if I'm Northwestern and they are leaving their safe lookout, their defensive line and linebackers are still on the field, because I would not trust Missouri here is certainly going to punt this away. It's a point in the game where you feel like Missouri may give it a shot.
Well, Jake Harry is the man who is back in punt formation. Now there is no short up back, which lends itself to a fake. And he can run with the ball and then kick, and it's the Australian rules kick. And here's what happens. Oh, it is picked up. Most of the time, Peterman picked it up, which is very dangerous. Actually, Brendan Smith. And on the Australian kind of kick, normally the deep man has to run away with it. And how many times this year have we seen the ball be touched in inside the 5?
This is a good heads-up play by Smith. Of course, he had that humongous play against Minnesota, the 48-yard interception return with 12 seconds left for the winning touchdown. But that was a good heads-up play, because I think that would have gone down well inside the 5 had he not grabbed it.
Boucher looks up, throws the pass, incomplete at the 15-yard line. As a nice job defensively. Rasheed Wallace couldn't hold on.
And Missouri's defense needs a stop here. You feel like Northwestern is ready to take control of this game because their defense is playing so well.
You can see Boucher begging for the play to be sent into it. There's plenty of time on the play clock. Now he pauses again. They still have 14 seconds. And Sutton straight ahead, winding, spinning, out over the 15-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 4. Jack Arup.
Guys, it is very interesting to look at the sidelines here on both sides. When you go to the Missouri sidelines, you can see that they are a bit shell-shocked. They can't believe what they're seeing from the Northwestern Wildcats. From the get-go, from coming out of the tunnel on Pat Fitzgerald's sideline for Northwestern, they have been up and they have been excited. The momentum has shifted, I think, over to the purple.
Well, they certainly had it early, and then we thought the Tigers took it away as Boucher throws it complete, and that is enough for the first down. Just across the 20-yard line is Ross Lane, who had 55 receptions this year, makes the catch.
Well, and Northwestern was the biggest underdog coming into the bowl season, and they've used that as motivation all year long. They were underdogs in their last game against Illinois, and they thought, wow, we can't gain any respect, even at a home game. So I think Jack is right. Missouri not quite wanting to be here. Northwestern really happy to be here.
Sutton hit hard at the line of scrimmage, fights his way for a couple. Reese Davis, let's check back with you.
All right, Ron, coming up at halftime, it was firing day in the NFL. We'll give you a complete rundown on the coaches who have lost their jobs. Alabama is now looking for a new left tackle. Big suspension that could hurt the Tide against the Utes in the Sugar Bowl. And we'll also check in and let you know how Scarlet Fever saved Rutgers. It's all coming up. Mark and Lou are here.
Makes you wonder if maybe they, rather than suspending the player, maybe they should suspend that agent.
There's illegal contact with an agent that caused that. It's just a shame. You don't need that type of contact.
Pitchback comes to Sutton, turns the corner. He is close to another first down. Boy, this one may require a measurement as Sean Weatherspoon comes out there to make first contact with him. What a difference number 19 has made. And as we said, a week to 2 weeks ago, people were saying no way he's going to participate in this game because of the surgery to his wrist.
I had taken him off my depth chart because everything pointed to the fact that the wrist injury, the team doctors said that it was like he had been in a car crash. Ligament damage, a few bones were broken. They had to insert pins. They just removed those a couple of weeks ago. It's astonishing that he's back and able to play.
Well, but now we're at 3 minutes and 21 seconds showing on the clock. The last time that Missouri was held without a touchdown in the first half was in Austin against Texas back on October the 18th. That's when they trailed 35-3 at halftime. Biggest thing in this one is, boy, 3 offsides by the defense, which has allowed life for the Northwestern offense, and that really has been hurtful to Gary Pinkel's ball club. First down from the 32. Well, he puts it in the stomach of Sutton, and one of the coaches mentioned that as good a model as they had as far as attacking Missouri was the same thing that Texas did, and that was keep the offense off the field of the Tigers.
Yeah, that was the recipe that really worked for Oklahoma State. If you watch that Oklahoma State game against Missouri, they'd let this play clock go all the way down to 4 and 5 seconds almost every time.
Boy, Sutton running hard. He got banged equally as hard at the 39-yard line, and it'll be a third down. Brock Christopher this time.
And I always think this is a place, if you're Missouri, think about a timeout. You've got 3 of them. You've got a third down. Get your defensive breath and also start to save a little time for your offense.
Can you believe Northwestern has already had in one half of football 10 third down situations? They're 7 of 10.
70% is a pretty good clip. You're happy if you're at 50.
Well, again, they're doing just what you said. There, we're watching the play clock. They still have 7 seconds right now. Bechet has the ball caught, complete, first down at the 45. Rashid Ward. Tackle by Trey Hobson.
And now if you're Northwestern, you want to stay in a rhythm, and it's the catch-22 because they are an up-tempo offense, but I still think you want to milk this thing down 10, 12 seconds on that 40-second clock.
Bechet going to go long, far sideline. Well, maybe a half step. The safety was coming over to help, but he just overthrew that one. Ward, the intended receiver. And Christopher with great pressure on the play.
And this is really the first time that we've seen Bechet take a good hit tonight. Couple of pressures where he had to throw it away. But I think that right as he let that ball go was when Christopher hit him. And Missouri, look how winded these guys are on defense. Those hands on the hips as an offensive lineman, you love to see that, especially in a passing down. Defensive lineman huffing and puffing, that's a good sign.
Stephen Simmons, number 25, a 5'8" sophomore, comes in at tailback. Pressure again, and he's going to be set at the 35-yard line. It's Shula. Now Bechet gets up very deliberately on this one. So they are calling a timeout. The Missouri Tigers. 1:21 showing on the clock. We'll be right back.
This is ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football, the Valero Alamo City Bowl. We're in halftime here in San Antonio, and we are all tied at 10 apiece. Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham. And Ed, I guess my question to you is, with that huge 75-yard return by Jeremy Macklin, does that take some of the starch out of Northwestern? What could you tell when they came back out on the field?
Yeah, I felt it at the end of the half when they had a minute left with 3 timeouts and they decided to run out the clock. Not that I blame them, but that's not how they were playing up to that point before the punt return. So we'll take a look at the Valero game track and see how we got to this point. Early on, everything was going Northwestern's way. A bad route by someone from Missouri on an interception, another interception later, but this was a fall down by the safety. Moore, Peterman gets the touchdown, and then really what you have to think is a mental error by the punter from Northwestern. Let this ball hang a little bit, probably should have kicked it out of bounds. And it was interesting what Gary Pinkel said to Jack Arute. It was all about focus. That's one way to get your focus back.
Well, that's what we talked about at the beginning of the ball game. As we take a look at the stats, and you just commented to me, when you hold Missouri to 136.5, you've done a masterful job.
It's one of the best offenses in the country, and you can't say enough for what Mike Hankwitz, the defensive coordinator for Northwestern, has done. But it's interesting what a guy like Jeremy Macklin does to a game like this. And I would think that Pat Fitzgerald is no longer going to be kicking to number 9.
Well, Pat Fitzgerald, and you look on the far side of the field, Gary Pinkel won the toss, and Missouri off the top decided that they were going to put their offense on the field. So that's the reason we're going to see the Wildcats on offense to begin the third quarter. Deep kick coming down to the 3-yard line. This is Simmons, and Simmons will be stopped at the 20-yard line. So, Jack Arute, let's check in with you.
Well, I did talk to Coach Fitz about that punt, and I tell you, he told me point blank. He says, look, we made a mistake. It was supposed to be kicked out of bounds. He said, but that was then, this is now. They were fired up, Ed, so fired up now back in the locker room that the Missouri team had to come out first. Northwestern was trying to come out. There was a little bit of a scrum. The doors were banging. I kind of disagree with you. I think Northwestern right now is really pumped up. Somehow Coach Fitzgerald got them to forget about that punt.
Bechet with the first down at the 20. Gives it to Sutton. It's going to be a gain of 5, now 6 yards on the first play of the second half. And when you saw the time of possession on the statistics that we just put up on the screen, it is interesting to note that in that area, Northwestern accomplished what they were looking for. 18-21 on offense and 10-47 for the Missouri Tigers. If they can maintain that in the second half, I think they got a real shot at winning this football game.
That was the recipe for the 4 losses for Missouri this year.
It looked as though Al Netter, the left tackle, somebody on that side of the line moved prematurely.
75 offense.
Yep, it's going to be Al Netter, the redshirt freshman out of Rohnert Park, California. That is the first penalty against Northwestern tonight.
Well, it was interesting, Jack, talking about Pat Fitzgerald getting his team back focused and ready. Let's not forget, this guy won the Bronco Nagurski Award 2 years in a row. He is the youngest member of the College Football Hall of Fame because he was a great middle linebacker. It doesn't take much to get Pat Fitzgerald fired up, and that oozes out of his pores onto his players pretty frequently.
And for people who have always observed from afar and thinking that maybe middle linebackers may not be very bright, you're wrong. Bechet throws it complete. That's good for the first down at the 30.5-yard line. Ross Lane. And Ross Lane, a senior out of Fort Myers, you'd have to call a possession type. But boy, he has hurt Missouri tonight.
And this is exactly what they used possession type receiver for. You roll the pocket. Lane runs his route, just turns around and squats and sits down. You see the safety Moore was up in coverage, and Moore not very comfortable so far when he has to walk up and play that slot. He's more of a safety type guy.
Going to pass on first down, and he's got it again. Peterman. And this is going to be another first down. It'll be to around the 40.5-yard line. Justin Garrett making the stop for Missouri.
And it felt to me in that first half like Chase Daniel started to press at the middle to end part of that second quarter, and that is something that Missouri fans have seen time and time again. When things aren't going great, Chase Daniel tends to press a little bit. If there's been one problem with his game his senior year, is that he starts to rush it a little bit. And on the flip side, Boucher looks calm, looks good. It looks like in that first quarter he looked really good.
Let me say this, one of those interceptions who I felt like was a poorly run route by the Missouri Tiger. There is another pass, virtually the same, not quite the distance. Rashid Ward, Vaughn's on the tackle, but it's a gain of 9 on this one. But they're throwing underneath the backers and the corners, and it's working beautifully.
And that's exactly the offense that Mike McCall brought with him from Bowling Green. Of course, he replaced Garrick McGee, who left to take the quarterback's job at Arkansas to get closer to home. His father had passed away. He's from down that way, and so they went out and got Mike McCall. And it's more of the controlled short passing game that Missouri run. They'll tweak it a little more next year when it looks like Mike Kafka will take over at quarterback full time.
Second down and very short, and now Boucher says, I want a timeout. So we'll take it with him. 12:36 left, third quarter. Tied at 10, the Wildcats and the Tigers. So welcome back as you look at Mike Kafka, the backup quarterback for the Wildcats of Northwestern. C.J. Boucher, the starting quarterback. Right now they look at a second down and 2, maybe a down to play with here.
And Kafka more the running type, but Boucher, might see a little time for him today. A great game against Minnesota, but this second and short, they don't have many vertical threats, but this is a down to play with for sure.
Kafka in that Minnesota game had 217 yards rushing. Gives it to Sutton straight ahead. And, you know, Sutton breaks the tackle even at the line of scrimmage from time to time, and he has the first down.
It's interesting you talked about those rushing yards for Mike Kafka against Minnesota. That was a Big Ten record, 217 yards. And that record had been held for a long time, and it was a former colleague of ours.
Yeah. Gary Danielson set the record 1972, 213 yards.
And as if Washington didn't have a bad enough season, let's trash them once more.
Oh, God. Gonna go on top. Has a man. Touchdown, Rashid Ward.
Well, they've been dinking and dunking, and they finally break out Ward. Another one of the seniors. And that just did not look like very good coverage by Carl Geddes. This team was not ready for a vertical route. One of the worst coverage teams in all of college football, showing their cracks.
Villarreal, and he hit the upright. How big is that? Hit the upright to the right. And with 12:08 left to play in the third quarter, all of a sudden the glee over a 46-yard touchdown is diminished as he misses an extra point. One more look as we go to break. You can see Geddes being beaten here and beaten badly. Let's take a timeout.
ESPN College Football, the Valero Alamo Bowl is brought to you by TD Ameritrade, the independent spirit, and by freecreditreport.com. Stay on top of your credit score and credit report at freecreditreport.com.
And we are back. You take a look at Pat Fitzgerald and his Northwestern Wildcats as they came out of the locker room to begin play in the second half, and you could see them walking arm in arm. Then they broke into a sprint.
It's a big deal for them. You know, Jack did the report about a real simple goal at the beginning of the season: win a bowl game.
Decades since
1949.
That's
the
right.
Rose Bowl. It'd be 60 years ago on January 1st. The first and only bowl game that Northwestern has ever won was at Rose Bowl against Cal. So you think this team is focused? They look a lot more focused than Missouri.
Here comes the high short spinner, and it's going to be caught at the 32-yard line by Jackson, and Jackson hardly moved out of his tracks. before he was tackled. But still, the Tigers with excellent field position just across the 35.
Watch the safety start to creep up. That tells you it's man coverage. Keep this frozen, but watch the corner, Geddes. He'll squat and start to peek inside, which makes you think he's playing a type of zone. Again, another mental error by Missouri. The corner and the safety on the same side of the field. One appears to be playing zone, the other appears to be playing man. It's just mental error after mental error for Missouri.
Chase Daniel hides it behind the back, gonna go on top. Going long and overthrown for Jared Perry. Well, let's take a look at that touchdown from the Sky King.
It's nice to see seniors, top of your screen, Ward. He just ran right by him. That had to be confusion. Geddes had to think that he had help over the top. Even so, if Geddes thought he had a safety over the top, you're still not supposed to let the receiver have an outside release. If you think the safety's inside, you've got to force him to where your help is. So it was bad all the way around.
Well, the corner is a sophomore. The safety is a freshman. And here's Macklin on the end around. And Macklin's going to have the first down, I believe. Nope, he stepped out of bounds before he got to the marker, which is a yard short.
Well, that 16-10 score. Villarreal, the place kicker, is going to keep that one stuck in his craw, because you get a sense in this game with a guy like Macklin, this is going to go back and forth, and that extra point might be a big deal before it's over.
Third down, and they need about a yard. Three wide receivers right, one to the left. Lobs it right over the middle, has it complete, and that's good for the first down to Jeremy Macklin as they bring him into traffic. Peters on the tackle.
Well, for the last 2 years, Jeremy Macklin has led the country in all-purpose yards, meaning rushing, receiving, and kick returns. They find so many different ways to get him the ball, and including when your punter decides not to kick it out of bounds. That's another way that Jeremy Macklin can get the ball.
Devin Moore, number 26, a redshirt freshman out of St. Louis Hazelwood Central, into the backfield. Rolls to his right, throws back to the left, and has it complete. Finally gained control. That's Kaufman. You know, we didn't hear from Kaufman very much in the second quarter at all, Ed. In fact, in the second quarter, Missouri only had 30 total yards. They were saved by that Macklin return.
Looks like Missouri's going to go fast here, but watch this catch over the top. I'm telling you, of all the tight ends that are rated, Jermaine Gresham, and all of the guys that are rated up there as potential first-round picks, none of them have the hands of Kaufman.
Daniel trying to get that offense going again. Looking, got plenty of time now under pressure. Throws it complete at the 30, runs into his own man, and if you want to say technically, the tackle was made by Jared Perry of Missouri. 15 yards on the play.
Nice job by Jarrell Jackson, and it all starts with the athleticism of Chase Daniel. Wooten made the mistake of trying to come underneath the tackle, so he lost his rush lane, he lost contain. Daniel was able to come out. Jackson, the freshman, did a good job of mirroring his quarterback.
Washington back at a tailback. He'll get the handoff at the 30, spins around, still fighting, and he'll be with about 4 yards on the play. Marshall Thomas defensively. Marshall, a junior out of Miami of Florida.
Well, they are really, Northwestern's really holding Washington in check. Washington came into the game averaging over 6 yards per carry, and that was the biggest concern for Mike Hankwitz and his defensive staff. And he's right at about 2 yards per carry so far in this game.
Yep.
So battle being won up front by the purple guys.
Play action, pumped it once. Now looking for the left side, throws it, and there's Kaufman. Kaufman, one of the safety valves, but he just kept dragging across the middle, and he's such a big, strong target. You're safe with that. But on the far sideline, the route had been stopped.
And the coverage has been very good. What's happening is getting a little bit of protection, and Daniel's doing a nice job of moving his feet.
Third down. They got to take it to the 14-yard line. Daniel steps up, throws it complete, and the tackle is made. He's short of the first down.
Boy,
it's about a half a yard, Ed, where they are. Do you go for it?
I think you do. It's a bowl game. Your team has not been focused.
Quatang is the man who made the tackle.
Your secondary is starting to show some cracks. I think this is the right decision by Gary Pinkel to go for it here.
Fourth down. They got to take it to, what, the 14-yard line.
Maybe a quarterback draw. There's nobody in the middle, in that middle linebacker spot.
And he takes it up the middle, and Daniel belted down hard at the 11, but he has the first down, +4. Brendan Smith is the man who came up and made the hit.
This is why a guy like Chase Daniel is so difficult to defend. You have to walk people out because you're spread sideline to sideline. You had nobody standing in that middle linebacker spot. So you've got 5 to block 4. 5 offensive linemen to block 4 defensive linemen, and then the secondary has to close it. He's got plenty of speed.
Everything tonight for the most part. There was a 3-and-out back early, but has been long drives. Here's Washington. He's hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he may fight his way back to the line, but it's going to be a 2nd and 10. Quatang, who had 93 total tackles on the year, 47 unassisted, and 46 assisted tackles. Very quiet young man with an infectious smile, but he also will just get after you defensively on the field. Great temperament. This drive started back at the 37-yard line. This is play number 11. Throws for the end zone, has a man there. He caught it out of bounds. He was there, but the pass was thrown just a smidgen late. That was Jared Perry. Sherrick McManus with the cover on it.
Perry got spun around the wrong way and then had to body catch this ball, and that left foot clearly out of bounds. But if Perry didn't, if he got turned around faster and was able to extend his hands, I think he may have been able to catch that in bounds. Watch as he goes to cradle this. Steps out of bounds right as he gets possession. Now this is, watch Kaufman down at the bottom of your screen. That is a size mismatch for a fake.
Fakes it to the left, got a man over the middle, throws for the touchdown, Alexander. Understand one thing. If we're playing percentages here, Missouri should take the lead because Jeff Wolford out of Overland Park, Kansas is 182 out of 182 on extra points. So as I said, if we're playing percentages, for all intent and purposes, the Tigers should take the lead right here by 1.
And Wolford, unless he misses if he missed everything tonight, it still would not matter. He will become the NCAA's all-time accuracy leader, surpassing John Lee of UCLA.
He just got it, and they take the lead by 1. That, by the way, the 100th touchdown pass by Chase Daniel in his career. Let's take a timeout. Tigers go on top, 17-16.
The 2009 Rose Bowl game, Penn State USC, New Year's Day on ABC.
17-16 Missouri. A perfectly read play by Chase Daniel, the quarterback. He's got Kaufman down here, but Northwestern goes with a high-low double team, which leaves the middle of the field open for Alexander to come in on the slant. They had Kaufman over there. I think they were looking for that fade, but because they ran another guy over there for the 6'6 Kaufman, nobody in the middle of the field. Easy throw and catch on the slant. Good read by Daniel.
Consider one thing else. In the first half, Missouri only had the ball for 10 minutes and 47 seconds. On that drive alone, they had it 4:48, and they got themselves a touchdown.
And didn't Daniel look like a different guy in that drive?
He did.
Than he did at the end of that first half.
Just on rhythm, on time, everything. They wait for the pooch kick. And they kick it away. High spinner going to come down short. Simmons at the 8-yard line. And a deep flag comes down from the near sideline. And now another flag comes in.
There's been a couple of guys, Jack gave the report that there was a little hooping and hollering down in the tunnel. A couple of guys have been getting in faces. I'm not so sure if this is Jack Childress's crew not trying to get control of this a little bit before it gets out of hand.
Holding Wildcats, that's the first call. And then the post-play foul is this.
During the return, holding number 87 of the offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Okay, so there was only one, and that happened during the play. Capital One Bowl Week continues on ESPN New Year's Eve with 3 games. First at noon Eastern, the Bell Helicopter Armed Forces Bowl, Houston against Air Force. Then at 3:30, the Gaylord Hotels Music City Bowl, number 24 Boston College against Vanderbilt. And at 7:30, the Chick-fil-A Bowl, it's LSU against number 14 Georgia Tech. Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN Wednesday. Ron Franklin, Ed Cunningham, and Jack Arute coming to you from the Valero Alamo Bowl. Pitch back, and it's Sutton on the option play, and he gets bowled out of bounds by Sean Weatherspoon. Who? And it's going to be a gain of maybe 2 yards. Weatherspoon had an outstanding first half, and he's picking up exactly where he left off then.
The one thing I think Missouri is struggling with, and it was Gary Pinkel alluded to it when he was talking to Jack Arute, some guys are not focused. This guy Weatherspoon's not one of them. He's dialed in during this ball game.
He's more than focused. This guy is a player. Quick out pass, got a blocker in front, and the ball is dropped by Brewer. Andrew Brewer. Boy, that's big because the ball thrown behind the line of scrimmage. He had 2 blockers out in front and a chance to do something big with it. And he made the play end right there. So now it is third down and long.
And for the first time, I think, since the Macklin return, and that was the only time we see the Missouri fans start to get into it a little bit.
Three wide receivers left, 2 to the right. Third down, they need to take it to the 28. Got a man, and the ball is caught. He juggled it, and then Rasheed Ward came down with the football, and after he juggled it, and I think he picked up 5 more yards. That's a good for 21.
Good job by Bechet, the senior quarterback. This is zone coverage. You can see the corner allow Ward to go, throws it right over his head. And just before the safety, but boy, it looked to me like Kevin Rutland, the cornerback, who may be over there because Carl Geddes got beat a few plays ago by Ward, but seemed like he just wasn't comfortable. And that ball in the air, it looked like he should have been able to make a play on it.
First down from the 40, option play. He pitches it back to Sutton. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And it's going to be a loss of about 3 yards on the play. Well, here's a graphic on the Northwestern wide receivers today. Lane with 4 receptions. Peterman with 5 and 6 for Ward.
Very similar to that Texas Tech offense, where it's all about the balance is not in the run and the pass. It's how many receivers are making how many catches. We want to balance that out. So then you really do have to defend the whole field.
Second down and 12. If you just joined us, 17-16, the Missouri Tigers. This pass caught at the 42-yard line by Brewer. He is shoved out of bounds immediately at the 43. And it'll be a third down and long. Jack Arute.
One of the first things that Mitch McCall did when he came to Northwestern is he got all of the tapes of C.J. Bechet, and he studied and discovered that C.J. was being lazy with his footwork. They worked on it, and you can see the footwork there on that pass. He didn't throw off his back foot. Bechet admits that sometimes when he gets fatigued, he starts to let down, and they worked on it every single practice, trying to make it flawless. So far, so good.
Okay, Jack, they are 9 of 13 on third down conversions. They got to take this one to midfield. Good protection. Got it. Deep. Intercepted over the middle by Christopher. And Christopher down the sideline against some blockers. Finally going to be tackled at the 30-yard line of Northwestern.
Bechet comes up hobbling a little bit.
First turnover against them. They had their first penalty in the second half. Now their first turnover in the second half.
Quarterbacks will tell you all the time the hardest guy to see is those linebackers coming from the weak side. Christopher, an outside linebacker, comes. He's lined up. He's usually a middle linebacker, but he's lined up to the left side and does an excellent job of reading the quarterback's eyes. He had the huge interception to seal the Baylor win, and also had an interception return for a touchdown against Nebraska. So Christopher very good at hiding himself. Quarterback can't see him.
Running play, and it's going to go inside the 30. That's Tommy Saunders with the ball, and he will have a gain of about 4. Jack DiNardo, a redshirt freshman out of Hinsdale, Illinois.
Boucher does not look good on that left foot. That's the plant foot. So you start to throw off that back foot if you can't plant on it. Ball's a little late. That one there, he just didn't recognize the linebacker coming from the backside.
Daniel under pressure, going to try to run. And now he's going to have to it. Boy, he gets whacked out of bounds. Ran into either an equipment guy or one of his fellow players by Brad Phillips. And that might have taken away some of the blow.
See, Boucher goes to try to make the tackle. Immediately grabs that left ankle. He's got the extra tape on the outside, but it'll be interesting to see if he's able to come back out.
Third down. They need to take it to the 20. Tigers lead by 1. About to go under 4 minutes to play in this third quarter. Jackson blocking, goes for the end zone, deep, caught out of bounds. Macklin caught the ball and squarely came down out of bounds, and you can see the defensive coaches saying, way to go.
Excellent coverage. One of the fastest. We saw what he could do on a punt return, how fast Macklin is. He's just running on the outside, and that's just a really nice job by Jordan Maben, a true freshman who had to step up when they lost Justin Vaughn running stride for stride. Good recognition by Maben.
Field goal attempt is going to be 43 yards. Jeff Wolford, the senior out of Overland Park, plenty of distance. He's got a great leg, and he splits them. And the Tigers add to their lead. Now they move out to 20-16 at the 3:46 mark of the third quarter. And let's check on the sideline again with Jack Arute.
Well, you want the update on C.J. Boucher. When he came off, he was limping, guys, and they checked his left ankle. Now, the bad news is the trainer said he slightly sprained the ankle. The good news is it was the lower part of the ankle. They didn't even take his shoe off. What they did is they added support on the outside of the shoe with some extra tape. He's trying to walk it off right now. They expect him to be back under center.
Okay, Jack, great hustle there.
So now, if you're Missouri, and you've got a quarterback who may not be able to move as well, if I'm Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator for Missouri, come after him maybe a little bit. Weatherspoon's been playing very well. Maybe get him in the rush. They brought Moore, the safety, on a couple of blitzes. And if he can't move, maybe you got to get Kafka in there, who, of course, we showed you earlier, has the Big Ten rushing record in a single game for a quarterback against Minnesota. Might have to get your running quarterback in there if Boucher's really gimpy.
Well, Wolford prepares to kick it off. Now, the last two they have kicked away. They were not high pooch kicks. And he looked up to see where the receivers are. There's one on the goal line, and that's where he kicks it. Deep to that side. That's Simmons from the 2. Simmons, well, a nice job defensively on the special teams. Making the tackle was number 11, True Bonds. But again, he took it back inside instead of out. Capital One Bowl Week continues on ESPN tomorrow with 2 games, 4:30 Eastern. The Rhodey's Humanitarian Bowl, Maryland against Nevada. Then at 8 o'clock, the Pacific Life Holiday Bowl, number 13, Oklahoma State against number 17, Oregon. Capital One Bowl Week on ESPN tomorrow. Twice tonight that Simmons had the option of either taking it inside into traffic or trying to break a tackle as he kept it outside. Boucher going to go on top, and he overthrows. This time the safety came over pell-mell. Rashid Ward had a lot of company that time.
And there was
Garrett and Vaughns were right there.
two men brought. Christopher and Weatherspoon came on that blitz. Matt Eberflus is going to test the mobility of Bechet. He jumped through that one. He's not comfortable, I don't think, right now on that left ankle. He
overthrew it by quite a margin. Second down and 10.
Can't leave your feet like that.
Gives it to Sutton. Has a little bit of an opening in the middle, and the Tigers stop him after a gain of about 2.5. Weatherspoon again with the tackle. And now, what Northwestern's playing with here in the second half is not the third and shorts that they had in the first half. They're playing with the third and longs, and that's like leaving yourself 15-foot putts for pars. You wind up paying the price with that.
And you go back to that punt that they wanted to kick out of bounds. That changed, I think, the focus of Missouri. One player did that, Jeremy Macklin.
On third down, needs to go to the 40. Here comes pressure. Bechet is knocked down and sacked at the 27 by Ziggy Hood. Ziggy Hood, a first-team All-Big 12, a captain of this defensive unit for the Missouri Tigers.
Right up the field, they're running a stunt. And a lot of times when you run that stunt, the guy who is the first to go up on the inside, the tackle for the end to come around, is usually the one who's going to get the pressure.
Now here comes a flag.
We have illegal substitution, 12 men in the formation on the offense. 5-yard penalty, it's still 4th down.
So where do you think that Northwestern is going to kick this one out of bounds?
Well,
about the 45.
You know what? Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Right now, if we go back to the point that we made at the beginning of the ballgame, 3 defensive offsides, Missouri. Head coach said lack of focus. That's 2 penalties, the first 2 of the ballgame of Northwestern. Some lack of focus being shown on the part of the Wildcats. Here's the boot, and he kicked it to him again. From the 40-yard line, gets a block. Now here comes a flag, and he is down at the 42. I think this one's going to go back a distance, though, either a clip or a block in the back. 37 yards on the kick and 3 on the return.
I cannot believe that they kicked that ball with very little hang time right back to number 9. And there was some blocking set up.
Illegal block in the back, 31 of the offense. That's a 10-yard penalty, spot of the foul, 1st down.
Well, every player can smell the roses. In fact, every team wants its place in history. Every eye is on Pasadena, the granddaddy of them all. Number 8 Penn State against number 5 USC in the 2009 Rose Bowl presented by Citi. Coverage begins New Year's Day at 4:30 Eastern on ABC and ABC HD. Washington in the ballgame at tailback to join Chase Daniel. Tigers on top and back on offense. They lead it by 4. That's Macklin, and they hand it off to him on the end around. Turns it up at the 30, 35, at the 40. Flag comes from deep downfield, and I think we're going to have a hold against Missouri.
Yeah, I think they may. Yeah, they got Denario Alexander for holding, and they may have gotten Saunders as well.
So wipe out a 16-yard gain.
Holding, 81 of the offense, 10-yard penalty, spot of the foul, repeat 1st down.
Well, at least this is a competitive foul. You know, Gary Pinkel had to deal with non-competitive fouls, people lining up in the neutral zone, things like that. At least this is happening during the flow of the game where things are going to happen. There's Alexander clearly holding on Brad Phillips. But as a coach, you don't want them, but at least it's during a play from scrimmage, not before the snap.
Northwestern showing blitz off the corner. Daniel, good protection. Quick pass, intercepted on the corner. Brad Phillips just stepped right in front.
Well, I'm not quite sure what Chase Daniel saw, because Brad Phillips is sitting the whole time and read his eyes the whole way, and Chase Daniel locked in on that side, and the junior safety Phillips just saw him the whole way. And Daniel has to know you cannot leave your eyes to that side of the field the whole time if you're going to throw it there.
I actually thought he had looked away and then looked back and threw, but that was not the case. You're right. He locked in on him and stayed on him. First down, Northwestern. They have the ball inside the 25, and a screen thrown to Sutton, and what a defensive play. I'm going to give you 10 tries, and on the 11th, I'll tell you if you're correct. Yeah, it's Weatherspoon. Good heavens.
Yeah, he's just playing. You know, and the funny part is he and Jeremy Macklin are roommates. It's like they decided just amongst their own room, we're going to come out and play lights out. And the rest of the team's got to come with them, including the quarterback.
I'll tell you right now, it's a split for MVP of this ball game between the roommates as far as I'm concerned.
Cut it right in half.
Both have had just a huge impact on their side of the ball. Pass thrown complete. That's Sutton. He'll only have 1 yard on the play.
Well, those interceptions have really what have plagued Chase Daniel this year. Just bad decisions. He locked in on that side. He knew he was going there.
That's 3 turnovers for the Tigers.
Yeah. One of those interceptions, there was a bad route run. Don't want to fault him on that. But one, he did not see the defensive end bail out on his zone blitz. Thought he had a free place to throw it away. Did not. And that one, he just locked eyes on who he was going to. And the safety Phillips just read him the whole way.
Empty backfield. C.J. Boucher with a 3rd down. They got to take it all the way to the 14.5. Goes for the end zone, and the ball is caught. Was he in bounds? Yes. Touchdown, Northwestern. Ross Lane.
And Northwestern quickly runs out, trying to catch Missouri off guard with their extra point.
And guess what? And we're going to have a review on this one.
Yep, they did not want it. 2 things that Pat Fitzgerald did that was very smart right there as we take a look. 1, try to kick it before they get to review this. And 2, don't go for 2 yet. It's way too early in the game to go for 2. That is a touchdown. Yep, he controlled it when he hit the ground. Remember, the ground can't cause a fumble, but it can cause an incomplete pass. And that ball was controlled all the way through the land. Great play by Ross Lane. I'm going to go back to my point. A lot of times you see down 2, you miss that extra point earlier. And with a full quarter to play and 3 or 4 or 5 offensive possessions left in the game, guys go for 2 in this situation. I always think it's way too early. So I think this is the right move by Fitzgerald not to go for 2 here because they're chasing it.
He even got that 2nd foot down.
Yep.
That, by the way, 3rd touchdown for him this year and the 13th touchdown of his career.
Well, he is a senior. He knows if he goes to try out for the NFL scouts, they want to know if he can get 2 in instead of 1.
So the situation, it is not a challenge. It's just under review. 31 seconds showing in the 3rd quarter.
I'm not quite sure what would take so long. I mean, that first view to me, it clearly was foot down, possession of the ball even through the landing. The ball does not move when Lane lands. Watch the ball. Foot was down. 2nd foot was down. Ball's possessed. I'm not sure why this would take so long. That was a nice throw by Boucher.
It really was.
The coverage was actually pretty good. It's Kenji Jackson, the freshman safety, in pretty good position there.
You know, after review,
here we go.
The call on the field, stand. Touchdown.
Now, Northwestern sprints back out on the field. You can imagine what the head coach said to Villarreal. Make it. Make it.
Yes. I'm not going for 2 because I think you're going to make it, young man.
The last one, he banged off the right upright, missing the extra point. Well, he got this one, right down the heart. So we'll hold it right here with 31 ticks left on the clock. So as far as Northwestern is concerned, let's look back at a timeline. Denny Green, in 23 years of revolving doors, head coaches 23 straight losing seasons. Then into the works, Gary Barnett. First Rose Bowl trip in 47 years. Then Randy Walker. Northwestern wins third Big Ten title in 6 years. That was in 2000. And then June 29th, 2006, Randy Walker dies of a heart attack at the age of 52. Enter the youngest coach in NCAA Division I, Pat Fitzgerald, former player at Northwestern, now in his third season. And one of the reasons, once you meet him and visit with him, he not only played there, he understands all the parameters. He knows what Northwestern is about. And that is what administrators yesterday after that luncheon said. It made our decision easy because we knew he was not too good.
Played under Gary Barnett, took a lot from him, took a lot from Randy Walker, who he coached under. 4-8 his first year, 6-6 last year, 9-4 in his first bowl game this year. It's pretty good improvement season to season.
This is Macklin, and Macklin is slowed up at the 20 and tackled at the 24. By the way, Bashir, 3 touchdowns that ties the Alamo Bowl record, shared by 5 others.
One of the people in Pat Fitzgerald's life that he talks to all the time, almost daily, is Gary Barnett. Those mid-90s teams that Pat Fitzgerald was such a great linebacker on, went to the Rose Bowl in a 2-year stretch, his junior and senior year, 15-1 in the Big Ten. And he still communicates on a regular basis with not only his mentor, but a very good friend, Gary Barnett.
Well, they go with the running play, and it's going to be Derek Washington, who is hit by John Gill. Los Altos Hills, California, senior, 6'3", 300 pounds. And he is one of the winners of the Randy Walker Award. And that is for your hustle, your desire, and your character. This time, big opening. Running play is going to go for a first down. Brendan Smith will make the tackle on Derek Washington.
There go the 4 fingers up.
That is the end of the third quarter. So let's take a timeout as Northwestern sprints to the other end of the field as we go to the 4th and final 15 minutes. It's the Wildcats of Northwestern 23 and the Tigers of Missouri 20. Don't go away. In fact, call a neighbor. We'll be right back. So we are back 23-20 as we start the 4th quarter. And yesterday at the luncheon, a video came up and we got to talk about Charles Robert Brincat, chairman of this bowl game, the Valero Alamo Bowl, who lost an 18-month battle to lymphoma. And yesterday at the luncheon, Jennifer, his wife, and Chase, his son, came up, and both head coaches brought an autographed helmet from their respective schools. He was so into this game, and the wife, Jennifer, and the son, Chase, were presented with the helmets. Really touching moment, and a highly, highly thought of young man. Lost too quickly, lost a battle to lymphomas. That ball is overthrown down at the 28 to Perry.
And now for Missouri. They're in a place that came in as such heavy favorites, down 3, 14-55. That throw there concerns me that they feel like they kind of need to hurry up. They've got an entire quarter. They don't need to force anything. Get Macklin involved. They'll be fine.
Well, to back up your point, on the touchdown drive they had in this half, as you look at Washington, has 5. It's going to wind up with about 6 yards. They scored and used up almost 5 minutes. That's over half what they had for the entire first half.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that might be the longest run of the day for Washington so far. He's been bottled up. 30 down.
And then they've got to take it to the 46-yard line. Jimmy Jackson into the game at tailback now. Daniel steps up. Gets the ball away. He just throws it away, and it is going to be a 4th down and 6. He wanted to throw a safety valve to Jackson.
Yep, and Jackson didn't see what he wanted. He was pushing him and pushing him to run deep, and then nothing happened. They locked it up. Pat Fitzgerald's bunch, Mike Hankwitz's new defensive coordinator, I don't think that they could have expected to play quite this well against Missouri. What a great hire by Fitzgerald to bring in Hankwitz with all of that experience and a similar background. Hankwitz spent many years with Gary Barnett as assistants and then worked under him at Colorado.
Brendan Smith, the deep man, keep in mind he is capable of taking it a long way, but he has to call a fair catch on this one. An Australian-style kick drove him all the way back to the 10, and great coverage by the Tigers, 51 yards. Well, let's take a look back at tonight's Harley-Davidson clutch moment. 2002 Alamo Bowl. This is Wisconsin against Colorado. Nice game for Brooks Bollinger for Wisco. 2 touchdown passes. One of those, Brandon Williams. Then later in the game, Bollinger to Darren Charles for 30 yards to the Buffalo 1. Next, Bollinger takes it in, sends it into overtime. And after a Colorado missed field goal, Wisconsin walk on Mike Allen as he hits a 37-yard field goal, and the Badgers win it. 31-28 in overtime. Pressure, and Bechet does a miracle by just getting it away. That was Ziggy Hood.
Second time in the second half that Ziggy Hood has made a nice move. This time he's lined up on the outside. Watch how quickly he jumps to the inside on the right guard, who goes for a cut block. That wasn't much of a try by Bartles, but that was a nice quick move by Ziggy Hood. And you're right, a gimpy quarterback, he barely got that off.
I'll tell you something. Ziggy Hood sees so many double teams, and they have found something to get him free. Now, that's bad news for Northwestern if he continues this, as Sutton takes it the other way and goes out over the 15 off left tackle, and it'll be 3rd down, and they need to take it about a half yard beyond the 20. Tackled by Lambert and also Smith.
And I know Mike McCall, the offensive coordinator, and speaking with him yesterday, talking about the tempo, they want to eat clock. But I think it's dangerous right now to think just chip away with the run, because the one thing that Missouri has not been able to do all year is defend the pass. They're one of the worst in the country. You still need to get that pass game involved.
Here comes 3rd down. Pressure off the edges. Throws the ball complete, enough for the 1st down. Rashid Ward.
Bechet has thrown the slant really well today.
And that has been their bread and butter. It really has. Not only on 1st down plays, but that time was 3rd and a little shorter. Their percentage on 3rd down, it is tremendous.
Right, he's good. That's the early slant. It's 11 of 17 Northwestern on 3rd down. And a lot of those pickup have come on that quick slant where he throws it right when he gets the snap.
Desmond Taylor, 76, back in the ball game at right tackle. Now that's on the side where Ziggy Hood is. And they double on Hood. The handoff goes to Sutton, and he still was a part of slowing down the play. Ron Franklin, Ed Cunningham, Jack Arute. Great to have you along from the Alamo City. We are at the Valero Alamo Bowl. And our score is the Wildcats of Northwestern 23 and the Tigers of Missouri 20.
Last time Northwestern won a bowl game, their only bowl win, the Rose Bowl in 1949 against Cal. 60 years this January.
Bechet looks to the sideline. You can see Sutton offset actually behind him. Now he steps up even with his quarterback, and a timeout is called as the clock was about to run out.
We have a timeout in Northwestern. That's their 2nd timeout of the half.
2nd timeout of the half taken by the Wildcats. 3-point lead, Northwestern. Welcome back to San Antonio, 23-20, and that last touchdown even gave the mascot from Columbia a little bit of a headache. Watch.
Nice throw by Chase Daniel. Alexander on the slant, double coverage on the tight end to the right, and then watch as Bechet throws a great one to Lane. Watch the... Oh, man.
I'm going to pull my ears out.
Rips his ears off.
Oh, my. Well, Tyrell Sutton in the ball game again at tailback. Second down and 9. Sutton gets it. Boy, the Tigers are doing a great job of collapsing on him. Baston is the man who got there to make the hit first.
And this is a heck of a cat and mouse back and forth right now, because Mike McCall, the offensive coordinator for Northwestern, is not going to give up on Sutton. But a couple of nice adjustments by Matt Eberflus, defensive coordinator, leaving another body in there to stop the run. Remember, in the first half, there was some running room, and now they're not going to give up on that run game, but they're starting to get longer and longer third downs because the run game's not working like it was in the first half.
Low pass, trouble, hit from behind, and he goes down. Bechet is very fortunate not to have fumbled the football. And Bechet, because he dropped the ball, Christopher, the middle linebacker, was already 15 yards off the ball.
Yep. It drifted. He drifted after he dropped it, and it's going to change the angle. Leave it frozen here. As he drifts back, it makes the angle easier for Shulak. The left tackle, Netter, didn't take that bad of a set, but because Bechet had to kind of move back, it made the angle better for Shulak to get to him.
Okay. Australian kind of kick, but it's a line drive, and he'll catch it and have some room to run, and got to be tackled as he crosses the 50. So Macklin scaring everybody to death every time he catches one, particularly the coaches on the Northwestern side of the field.
We've been talking about the job that Northwestern has done on defense. Give kudos to Matt Eberflus and the defensive staff from Missouri. Good adjustments at halftime.
42 on the kick, 8 on the return. We'll be right back.
ESPN College Football, the Valero Alamo Bowl, is brought to you by Valero, the all-American gasoline all across America. By Pontiac. Vote now for the Pontiac game-changing performance of the year at ESPN.com, keyword Pontiac. And by Capital One Card Lab at CapitalOne.com. What's in your wallet?
Sometimes in the world of college football, you've got to play it like Texas Hold'em poker. That's the case for linebacker coach Randy Bates. He gathered the defense around him and he said, look, Missouri is not going to have the patience or the focus to run the ball. He said, let's key off of that and let's plan on the majority of the rest of this game going for the pass, and let's go after it. Let's see if he's right.
Okay. Daniel. Looking, going to be sacked. Wooten, Corey Wooten, the junior out of Rutherford, New Jersey.
That's a really good piece of coaching by Randy Bates. They've studied enough. They had a long enough time to look at Missouri to know that they may not be patient enough. And the first sack of the night comes after Bates tells the front seven, get after it. You know it's going to be a pass.
Here comes pressure again. The ball thrown complete to Kaufman, and the big tight end will have the first down. But before the ball was delivered, or actually as it was delivered, Wooten was back there again and decked Chase Daniel.
Northwestern, and as Missouri goes fast here, led the Big Ten in sacks this year, so they can't get after the passer.
Blitz is on, hit at the ankles, and underthrows the ball, and very wisely so. That was Brendan Smith, the junior out of Andover, Mass. Played at Northampton Prep. Boy, he has been a solid player for them, and he's one of the team captains.
2 interception returns for touchdowns this year. The huge one against Minnesota to win that game.
Hey, that was up for the game-changing performance that weekend. That happened with 12 seconds left in the ball game. Macklin behind center. He'll get the snap, and he'll pitch it back on a reverse to Perry, and Perry's got nowhere to run. What a sequence by the Wildcats.
We saw the reverse earlier to Macklin. Now Macklin looks like he's going to run the sweep, but everybody stayed home. Let's not forget, the guys in purple go to a pretty good school. These are smart fellas.
I'll tell you, one of the reasons he's back in the ballgame, one of the reasons Chase was not there to receive that snap, he was down on the sideline. That last hit was considerable just prior to that play. Looking, still looking, throws for the far sideline, just throws it away.
Wow.
Tommy Saunders was the man it was intended for. Are those boos?
Yeah, they're boos. It's unfortunate, a senior who's had a great career, but Chase Daniel has just been pressing all season long, and they had the double move to the outside, and he threw it 8 yards out of bounds.
Brendan Smith, the deep man. And to make the point that he is capable of taking it the distance, that return against Minnesota of 48 yards at the last 12 seconds proves that he can. This is a great coverage kick. Very high and is caught by Missouri at the 1-yard line. Tommy Saunders. Now Northwestern gets the football back after a terrific defensive stand. But I'll tell you, this is their worst field position of the night. 9:17 left. Wildcats 23-20. We'll be right back.
The 2009 Rose Bowl game, Penn State USC, New Year's Day on ABC.
Well, let's take one more look at this punt. And how big will this wind up being in this football game? Northwestern's deep man came off of it, and it gave Missouri an opportunity to make the catch. That is Saunders in the field of play, and rather than a touchback, it is 19 yards inside of that in the worst field position Northwestern will have had.
And if I'm Northwestern, they've been trying to pound away with Sutton. You've got to know that Missouri is going to stack the box. All three linebackers are in. They're not in a nickel situation here. If you want to win this game, I think at some point here you may want to try a play fake in the line of scrimmage to try to get someone free downfield.
Well, they have a fullback in the ball game. That's Sutton lined up behind him. Missouri crowds at the line of scrimmage, and flags are down everywhere.
Yeah, it looked like there might have been some movement up front.
Bechet is following the officials, saying that they moved first.
Start, 89 offense, half the distance to the goal line.
But not so, say the officials. So a few inches they'll be penalized here. There's not any room left to penalize them any further.
Yeah, at some point you have to stop or it's a safety.
And of course that can't happen with movement on the play.
Yeah. And then remember, they're in the part of the field that is the Missouri fans. So
first
noise is a factor.
Again, and they go straight ahead with the quarterback sneak. And he will inch out maybe a yard, and that's it. The good thing if you're Northwestern, this is eating up time. The bad news is ultimately you're going to wind up kicking away to the man you don't want to kick to. And Jeremy is sitting over on the far sideline just hoping they come to fourth down again.
And if you don't get out to the 5 or 6 yard line, you're punting shorter than normal. So the rush can get there faster because your block point is now at 10 yards instead of about 13.
But you're aided with the Australian kind of kick because you're on the move. Pass thrown complete. Peterman, first down. Boy, put an asterisk by that one. That could be as big a first down as they have recorded all night long. 13 yards.
Well, the smart part of that call was doing that on second down.
And he also rolled the pocket.
Yeah,
gave himself more time.
Yeah, this is just a well-called game by Mike McCall, the first-year offensive coordinator. Talk about overcoming a lot this year. 2 new coordinators for Pat Fitzgerald. All the injuries they've had. They lost their best player, Sutton, for 4 games, their quarterback for 2 games.
Here's Sutton, rides him into the line, and then he gets overhauled. First of all, Sean Witherspoon on the attack. Jack Arute, what do you have?
Well, let's face it, guys. All year long, you've heard about how big the Big 12 is, how important in the battle between them and the SEC. The Big 10 was an afterthought. So what did the team representing the Big 12 and the team that beat Missouri, their offensive coordinator, used to be at Northwestern? Kevin Wilson texted back to his friends at Northwestern on the coaching staff and to some of the players all week long, little messages telling them that they could play in the Big 12 and beat Missouri.
Well, they got a chance tonight. Pass thrown. It is caught, and a flag comes down late. And, boy, that's thrown by the referee. And from that position, if it's not roughing the passer, it's holding. And that's what it's going to be. Offensive holding against the Wildcats. And that was an impossible throw and catch, and they connected on it.
Witherspoon was right there, almost made the interception.
Holding 62 of the offense, half the distance to the goal line, repeat second down.
Keegan Kennedy, the senior out of Jupiter, Florida.
Well, Kennedy, the left guard, is called for holding, and that's Ziggy Hood that he's taking down. Good throw, as Witherspoon makes the play, but all for naught because Ziggy Hood a senior from Missouri like Weatherspoon has shown up to play.
Second down. They got to take it now out to the 25-yard line to hold on to the football. 7:18 remaining. Pressure, and he is hit. The ball is... Another flag comes down. Tyrell Sutton with the football.
I'm not so sure they're not going to get roughing the passer here. Or was this ball thrown in front of the line of scrimmage?
Holding offense again. Shulock was the man with the pressure. You can see Pat Fitzgerald all the way out to the numbers on the field.
62 offense, half the distance to the goal, repeat second down.
Kennedy again, and he's trying to block on the guy that I talked about. Ziggy Hood always gets double teamed, but if they found a way to get him single, then mano-a-mano is not a good matchup. You got to go against Ziggy Hood. He is that good.
Keegan Kennedy, the left guard, a former defensive lineman, trying to get out on the screen, working in space. Yeah, and as the safety Moore spun around, he just had a grab of him. That's 2 plays in a row he gets nailed.
Still second down. They give it to Sutton. Running room, breaks it into the secondary. 15, out to the 20, and it's going to be a third down, and it'll be about 4.5 for what could possibly be the biggest play of this ball game. Our clock is running at 6:35, and if the Wildcats convert here, that 3-point lead looks bigger and bigger as William Moore made the tackle for the Tigers.
And as we talked about earlier in the ball game, as Sutton goes over 100 yards rushing with 112, wasn't even expected to play up till a week ago because of that left wrist injury.
Sutton now 28 carries, 112 yards. They need the 25. Quick pass. It is dropped. Rasheed Ward, and to give him the benefit of the doubt, a defender was in front and got a hand up, and that might have been enough of a distraction to cause him to drop the football.
Well, it took a lot more effort than expected, but Missouri getting the ball back with good field possession. And credit Jake Harry, the punter, who dropped one down on the 1, and Tommy Saunders, the bullet, who caught it.
Here comes the kick. Now this one is low, and more. That hit the back of a Missouri player, did it not?
Yes, it did.
And they have gotten on the ball at the 48-yard line.
Macklin did an excellent job of noticing that it had hit the back of one of his teammates running down, and he scooted up. Very heads-up play by Jeremy Macklin.
32 yards on the punt, but they cut it away. Let's take a timeout. Just under 6 minutes to play, and the Wildcats hold on. So we are back. Let's take one more look at the punt, and a very nice, efficient, and smart move by Jeremy Macklin. You can't tell if this ball hits this Missouri player or not. It is so close right here. It appeared to hit him on the foot. And now Macklin comes up and winds up making a recovery. And see, Northwestern, if they had any clue that it might have, would have recovered the ball right there.
Good
so credit Macklin.
Play.
Smart play. They scrimmage from the 48-yard line. 5:56 left in our ball game. Missouri trailing by 3. Blitz coming off the corner, and Daniel's going to run it, and he will go down after about a 4-yard gain with Kevin Mims making the tackle.
Give Dave Christensen some credit for going back to the run game. You're at a place where this could be the last drive of the career for Chase Daniel and his family, who had an unbelievably successful run here at Missouri. Let's see how it ends.
Gets his play signaled in, tells the offensive line exactly what they're going to be doing here. Man in motion again, and he hands it off to Macklin. They come to the near side. 45 at the 40, still inbound. Nope. The official right there said no, he stepped out of bounds just short of the 40-yard line. That's Maben, who was over defensively. It is enough for the first down, though.
And remember what Randy Bates, the linebacker coach, when Jack reported for Northwestern. On the last drive, he said Missouri's not going to be patient enough to run it, so get ready to drop in coverage and get the pass rush going. Dave Christensen comes back, a quarterback run and a reverse. Want to eat some clock and see if they can't stick it in to go up 4.
They got a beneficial spot then, because you could see he actually stepped out of bounds a yard earlier than that. Daniel, far sideline, throws it, and that one is just way too tall for Saunders. So that'll stop the clock. 4:52 remaining.
There's really only been about a drive and a half so far for Chase Daniel tonight where he looked like vintage Chase Daniel. That ball got away. Remember the drive before, he had the guy open down the sideline. He threw it 8 yards out of bounds. I think he's just in his head. Like he's thinking too much. He's not reacting and enjoying himself as much as he has in the past.
Northwestern has got him playing east and west rather than north and south. They have not hurt them vertically, really. Going to try it this time, though. And the ball overthrown and almost intercepted at the 9-yard line by McManus. Macklin, the intended receiver.
Your quarterback is, I just think he's in his head. I think he's out of this game right now. This is just not a good throw. Throw out the playbook. Throw out the passes. There's perfect protection, perfect time. And this ball just floats on Chase Daniel. Wide open Macklin for a big game. You got to go back to almost exclusively the run game.
He has missed his last 4. It is 3rd down and 10. They need to take it to the 31-yard line. That is Chase Kaufman in the slot on the right. Do they look for him? I would think so. Yes, that's who they go to, and he makes the catch. So a wonderfully, wonderfully big target to throw to. He's the guy you got to go to every time, because he is not going to drop the football.
And not a very accurate throw by Daniel, but the NCAA's all-time career leader for receptions by a tight end shows you why. He does not, if the ball's in his area, it's his.
3 wide receivers to the right, 2 to the left. New set of downs at the 25. Pressure. And Wooten goes down, and the ball just thrown away. And let's check out Corey Wooten. Boy, that is a non-contact thing. And how many times do you see a big person blow out a knee when nobody is even there blocking him because he tried to cut so sharply?
Boy, that was bad. He burst inside of Colin Brown, the right tackle, and right when he went to plant that leg, it completely collapsed.
First team All Big Ten has just been, he was selected an MVP on the defensive side that is being checked over now by the trainer.
Watch as he comes inside. Daniels is going to bounce, and he goes to plant, and his right leg just crumples.
You see the change of direction, and it just crumbles underneath him and goes the wrong direction.
Well, and Corey Wooten is a guy who has really flourished under new defensive coordinator Mike Hankwitz.
Boy.
9 sacks on the season. He's had a good game tonight. He's worked so hard. He's a tall guy at 6'7". He's had to get in the weight room. Let's hope this isn't as bad as it looked.
They may have to get somebody else out there to help get him up. Seriously, I'm not. So we'll take a timeout. 4:20 left in our ball game. 3-point lead, Wildcats. We'll be right back. Corey Wooten being helped off the field. 2 tackles, 1 interception, a sack, and a tackle for a loss. And as Ed said, we are just keeping our fingers crossed that that is not as bad as what it appeared. 2nd down and 10. They scrimmage from the Northwestern 25. Missouri trails it by 3. Hands it off to Washington. Goes to the right side. Is going to squeeze out a couple of yards. Still fighting. Maybe a gain of 3. And that'll be about it. It'll be 3rd down.
And now you're in a situation where you don't want to be risky. I think you've got to think about your quarterback is not playing well, so you're already in Wolford range to tie this with a field goal. Don't throw this. I think you look for another run or a screen.
3rd down. They need to take it to the 15-yard line. Boy, the defensive coaches screaming out instructions, and right now Northwestern changing their defense. The secondary moving around, and now the linebackers drop off a little bit more. And they hand it off to Washington. It takes it to the right side. Good heavens, did he take a hit at the 19-yard line. He held on to the football, but Nate Williams was there to make the tackle. Nate with a reputation as a hitter. His younger brother Quentin plays as a linebacker, and when he was a youngster, what their dad did when they played football, if they got up after a play had started and hit a second person on a block, he put $1 on the table in their plate when they came to the dinner the next night. 4th down. They need to take it to the 15, and they will go for the field goal. Wolford, this one will go down from 37 yards away. He's already made one from 31, one from 43. Good snap, plenty of distance, and he is good. We are tied with 2:49 left in the ball game. Now the key play of the ball game, in case you joined us late, let's go back to this. Northwestern scores and watch the extra point attempt.
Amado Villarreal, who's been so consistent all year, a senior, misses. And now Missouri, Jeff Olfert, will go down as the most accurate kicker in the history of the NCAA when you combine both PAT and field goal, breaking the record of 93.3% by John Lee. Got themselves into field goal range. Good play calling. Don't get too risky. Now it's on to Northwestern. Let's not forget Missouri, one of the worst pass defenses in the country. They give up 285 yards per game coming in. A little bit of Sutton, feed him some, but then I think you have to put the ball in Bechet's hand and see if he can't get you down for a field goal try.
Simmons is the deep man, standing back at the goal line. Wolford to kick it off. Looking and seeing where the deep men have aligned themselves. They have been kicking it deep to the left side. Let's see if they go there again. And he does. This is a boomer straight away. And it's going to go 3 yards deep. And very wisely, with only 2:49 left in the ball game, he takes a knee. They'll go from the 20. Now let's take a look at tonight's Pontiac game-changing performance. Well, of the year, Buffalo, 35-yard touchdown pass of the last play against Temple. Texas Tech, the TD pass with 1 second remaining. Arkansas, TD pass, 25 seconds left to beat LSU. And Alabama, interception in overtime against LSU. So be sure to log on to ESPN.com and search Pontiac and vote.
And now for Northwestern, who was up for a Pontiac game-changing in that Brendan Smith interception against Minnesota, needs something in Villarreal. Standing on the sideline, career long of 49, so you figure they need to get to about the 32-yard line.
Bechet hands the ball off to Sutton. Going to go straight forward for a couple. Bechet tonight, 289 yards passing, and that is a season high for him as Weatherspoon will make the tackle. Clock runs at 2:35 and a tie ball game at 23.
Well, because Northwestern used a couple of those timeouts, they've only got one, but still plenty of time. You move the change, it stops the clock. Under 2 minutes, you go out of bounds, it stops the clock. Plenty of time.
Bechet holds the pocket, throws it complete, and stepping out of bounds is Brewer. And it is going to be a 3rd down, and they need to take it just across the 30-yard line to pick up the 1st down.
And now, because you picked up a few yards, Tyrell Sutton comes back into play. Maybe a draw, a screen, something like that, because you
18 seconds, 17 seconds on the play clock. 3rd down, Northwestern. Tie ball game. Huge one right here. Sutton relocates to the left of his quarterback. They roll the pocket that way, and the ball is thrown too high. Peterman, the intended receiver, and it's now 4th down. 1:45 left on the clock, and Missouri with plenty of reaction time here.
And the problem is with Jeremy Macklin, you don't want to kick it to him because you don't know what can happen. So, but if you go to kick it out of bounds, you can lose the field position battle. And Missouri now with 1:45 and all 3 timeouts are sitting in the catbird seat.
6th punt of the night. Will he kick it straight away, or will he move to his left? takes a step to his left and kicks this one lower. And it's going to hit the ground, and it is surrounded by Northwestern players. So Missouri is going to be 67 yards away following that 40-yard kick. But they've got 1 minute and 32 seconds to work with.
And the thing that they need to remember, 3 timeouts. Clock stops with first down. Clock stops with out of bounds. Clock stops with incomplete. Don't abandon Macklin on the screens, on the reverses. You still have time.
But also don't forget Jeff Wolford. His longest is 54 yards. Now, it was 2 years ago against Nebraska, but he is very capable. He has enough leg probably for something 5 yards longer than that. Here's Chase Daniel. Pressure. Gonna run it. Has 5. Has almost 10 yards in the play. In fact, he is very close to a first down. Prince Quatang makes the tackle for Northwestern.
Now the problem for Northwestern, who likes to pressure Chase Daniel as his family looks on. He's fast. He can take off and run. So Mike Hankwitz is stuck in a tough spot.
Waits to throw. Gets this one away. Has it to his big tight end Kaufman. Has the first down plus about 9 yards. Under 1 minute to play. 58. And it is about to start again as they reset the chains. Missouri is lined up and set to go. Daniel, pressure from the outside, throws it complete, and that is Saunders, and Saunders will be tackled at the 42-yard line, and now a timeout is called by Missouri. Well, coming up next, Sports Center, Scott Von Pelt and Neil Everett. And Scott and Neil will be talking about Big Bowl suspension. Of course, that one down in New Orleans at the Sugar Bowl. Mangini, Cower in, and Wade Phillips staying and going, which that's some of the things he'll talk about on Sports Center this evening. Our situation, tied at 23, 47 seconds remaining. And Missouri with a second down, and let's call it 5. A field goal kicker that probably is 50 plus in the low 50s without having to sweat.
Yeah, I think 5 or 6 more yards, and you're in Wolford range. You'd like 10 or 12.
Yeah, for the comfort zone.
Yeah, but you get 5 or 6 more yards, and he can nail it.
So here we go. On a second down and 5, Daniel alone in the backfield. Good protection. Got the pass. Throws it complete. Good for the first down. And now here comes a flag. That could be a base mask. And if it is, that is the 15-yard. Has to be. There is no more incidental. Alexander was the receiver.
And Chase Daniel on this drive finally got out of his head. It happens a lot when you go in that hurry-up mode. We saw him earlier in the game completely inaccurate.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense.
What a huge call.
That's an automatic first down.
They had no penalties in the first half. They have had 7 in the second half.
And now don't even mess around. You have the most accurate kicker in the history of college football in Jeff Wolford. Get this ball to the middle of the field, run some clock, send him out to win the game. Do not get too risky.
First down, the line of scrimmage now, the 23. Daniel looks back over to the signals coming in from the bench. Thing is, he does not have a running back there with it. And no one comes in motion, so he'll carry it. And Daniel is going to go down under pressure, losing a yard at the 24. But even from here, it will be a 41-yard attempt.
And you want to kick it with at least a down left and some time in case you have a mishandled snap. Yeah, you don't want to do this on 4th down.
20 seconds down to 19, and it looks as though the Tigers are going to run it all the way down. 15 seconds down to 14.
This is good timing now. So you send out, and remember, a true freshman snapper for Missouri, Bo Brinkley, a walk-on that they found late in the recruiting process is their snapper.
And let's go down to the sideline, Jackaroo.
Guys, keep in mind, the guy that's going to go out and try and win this game for Missouri, He was an accidental football player. He played soccer in high school in his first 2 years, was enticed to come and try out for football, but his passion was competitive diving. In fact, that was what he wanted to pursue. And then somebody explained to him that he could probably have a little bit better career and a more impactful career if he became a kicker. We'll find out in just a couple of moments, won't we?
Yeah, and we really will. And now, the interesting thing will be is Northwestern, where are the timeouts here?
They've got one.
They've got one, so they really can't waste one to icing, can they? Or can they?
Yeah, I think you're at a point where the game might be over. So, but, well, Missouri's out there to try to move, to do it again. I think this.
Chase Daniel is actually going to go under center. We'll take it and move it to exactly on the field where they wanted it to be, which was a little bit more to the left. And he knocked down pretty hard as John Gill made the tackle. And now they're going to stop it. It's at 3 seconds.
Now the problem is a mishandled snap. You've got a freshman walk-on snapper in Bo Brinkley. A mishandled snap. The holder is Tommy Saunders, a senior wide receiver. If it's mishandled, you go to overtime. I know they wanted to get to the middle. Strategically, I understand that move, but now you're in a position where the snap, the hold have to be perfect to give Wolford a shot, or else you're going to overtime.
So Northwestern does have one timeout left. By the way, it is not a good sign as far as Wolford on the near sideline. We showed you Big Corey in a non-contact injury. Appeared as though to really have injured his knee badly, and he is already on crutches on the near sideline. Back on the field, this is going to be a 44-yard attempt. Wolford. And they're going to call a timeout. So that's the last timeout by Northwestern.
That's their third and final timeout of the half. 30-second team timeout.
30-second team timeout. And that's one rule I would like to see them tweak just a little bit, because it's not like basketball. You got to get 11 people in position in football. And I think that you should have to, it's got to be a little further than that you call a timeout. Exactly.
And let's put into perspective the career of Chase Daniel and what he has meant to the Missouri program. Brad Smith was the quarterback that made Missouri relevant again. And Chase Daniel helped take this program to a new level. Granted, he struggled his senior year. He had the struggles tonight, but his family here barely able to watch. An amazing career coming to an end for a Missouri Tiger.
Well, he's already made 3 tonight. Can Wolford ice it for Chase Daniel and all the seniors, and also win it for the Big 12 Conference? Gets a good pass. Plenty of distance. He is no good. Wide to the right and no good. Well, how about overtime?
This has been that kind of ball game. I'm glad we're going to play some more, quite frankly.
Just pushed it slightly. You expect the right-footed kicker, the ball just like a right-handed golfer, to come a little right to left. That ball never came back around. It just hung out there.
You know what that is? Just like golf ball, you hit it too hard, it won't even hook unless you hit it real badly.
Boy, that was close.
It didn't want to hook, though, did it?
Awfully close. Look at the body English on Pat Fitzgerald. Lives to fight another day. And now for Missouri, I always look at this situation. Of course, the coin toss is huge in overtime to see who goes on offense or defense first. But I always feel like the team that misses the field goal to go to overtime almost feels like they just lost the game.
You know what? The head coach at Missouri, Gary Pinkel, and I, you know, there's one thing that we have in common. The first overtime game played in NCAA football was in Las Vegas at the Vegas Bowl between Toledo and Nevada. And Gary Pinkel's ball club won it 40-37. Can he repeat that tonight? We'll find out. We're going to take a break. Tied at 23. We are in overtime. So we are back. You take a look at the young man that, what a tough situation. Jeff Wolford has just been totally outstanding in his career. Had an opportunity to win for his team. And by golly, he just pushed that thing just a little bit to the right. And that's all that Northwestern needed. They squeezed a foot in the door and they still have life.
Well, you were telling the story about Gary Pinkel in that first overtime game in the Las Vegas Bowl. They had a couple of meetings with his coaches, and how do we do this? Once they got the rules, strategically how we do it, they decided, well, going on defense first is best, because then you know what you have to do on offense. So, of course, when they go to overtime, he sends his defense out there. He wins the toss. They go out on defense. He gets booed by his fans behind him. What are you doing? And, of course, Gary Pinkel's background is as an offensive coach. He was an offensive coordinator at the University of Washington. I had the pleasure of playing under him there. And so it was a little different than what he said. So what happens? Nevada gets the ball. They kick a field goal.
Right,
Toledo gets it, scores a touchdown, wins the game.
Well, and the reason for that, the philosophy, as we talked this morning.
Tied here at the end of
let's listen to Jack Childers here.
Extra periods. Extra period goes like this. We'll have one coin toss. The visitor will call the toss. The winner of the toss, whoever wins the toss, chooses offense, defense, or the end of the field that we will play the first overtime period on. The overtime period consists of one series for each team, an equal number in each period. We'll begin the series on the proper end of the field at the 25-yard line. The team who puts the ball in play by a snap keeps the ball until they either fail to score or they score or fail to make a first down. Any questions? If there's a change in team possession, the ball remains alive. Each team gets one timeout per overtime period. Visiting captain, this is a head with the helmet. The backside of the snapper is a tail. What's it going to be, son? Heads. Heads, he said. Heads, he said. It is a tail. It is a tail. Northwestern has won the toss. Would you like to go on offense, defense, or choose the end of the field? Which will go on defense, sir. You want to go on defense? That means you're going to play offense. Which end of the field you want to play on? You're going to play on that way, Northwestern.
Yeah, Missouri wants to play it to the left. That's where the bulk of their fans are. But just what Ed was talking about, the theory has been proven to be totally accurate. Just 8 or 99% of the time, the team always goes on defense because you want to see exactly what you got left, because the other team's going to get the ball. So you'd rather have them make a statement, either a touchdown, a field goal, or
know what you have to do. Yeah. Now the problem with that is then it alternates. So if you're on defense first, offense, then your offense stays on. Well, usually if you have to go defense back to back, your defense is going to be a little more tired. And sometimes if you go into 2 and 3 overtimes, your defense starts to get tired, especially if they have to go back to back series, because now it'll alternate possessions.
And also, you know what it takes out of the equation? You don't have to worry about Jeremy Macklin as a return guy anymore.
And remember, once you get to the third set in overtime, if you trade possessions twice in that third one, after a touchdown, you have to go for 2. That was a rule put in to try to shorten some of these 6 and 7 overtime period games.
Well, first down from the 25. Well, you still have to contend with him as a ball carrier, and he's off and running and shoved out of bounds at the 15-yard line. So it's going to be a first down and 10 for Missouri.
Be interesting to see which Chase Daniel we see here. He looked really bad there for a while in the third and fourth quarter. Then at the very end of the game, when he got out of his head, he was accurate and on time. Now let's see if he can stay in that rhythm.
Chase will hand this one off to Washington. He gets banged hard, but he's going to take it for about 4.5. Vince Brown was there defensively. If you just joined us, we are in overtime. Washington again Reverses, nothing to the right, goes back to the left again, and he's going to be tackled at around the 7-yard line.
Now you're in 3rd down. Maybe a Chase Kaufman time. The big tight end at 6'6" will be lined up in the slot to the right. Quick slant possibly to number 45.
3rd down. They got to take it to the 5 or go for a field goal or go for it on 4th. But you got to come away with points. Plenty of time on the play clock. Boy, fumbled it over the middle, throws the touchdown. Wow. Macklin. And Daniel was fumbling the football, still had the presence to maintain and get the pass away. And now, if the extra point attempt is good, then big shoes to fill as far as Northwestern is concerned. It means they kind of come up with a touch.
Excellent job by Daniel. He knew he had that slant to the left. They ran a double slant with Kaufman and with Macklin. He knew he had it, but he lost the snap. Did a good job of finally finding the laces and getting it in there.
Good pass. Extra point is right down the middle. And look what happens with the quarterback, and he still throws a beauty.
And he saw he had it the whole way. The Northwestern defense had rotated over to Kaufman because Kaufman is the guy all season long that Missouri has looked to in the red zone. So they overshifted to that side. Nobody's on the inside for Macklin. But Daniel did an excellent job with that snap. It slipped through his hands, and his family, who's barely been able to watch through the 4th quarter, watching the end of a wonderful career come to an end.
Well, I'll tell you, he
not over yet.
He looked great on that series right there. And as a result, Missouri is up 30-23. Now it is the time of the Wildcats. And remember this, cannot have a turnover or the game's over. Bechet fakes the pitch. He's got to keep it and go down to the 19-yard line.
Not bad for a guy who had a tweaked ankle earlier in the game.
You're right.
Yeah.
Christopher and Shulock combining on the stop.
Nice fake. They've run that option a couple of times tonight. I believe that's the 2nd time, but this time Bechet, who tweaked his left ankle, that time it was his right foot that he had to plan off of, made a nice cut. Pick up 5.
Pressure from the backside, throws it complete. Peterman, 1st and goal inside the 10, Northwestern. Shulock was the man with the pressure that time.
Well, Peterman, the senior, has just been on a tear. Had a huge game against Illinois, their last game of the season. That ball thrown a little behind. He's working one-on-one against a linebacker, Weatherspoon, and hauls that in. Not a great throw, but a great catch.
And do you just keep on throwing the ball if you're Northwestern?
I think you have to.
Stack receivers, Tree to the right, but they roll it the other way, and he throws the ball, underthrows because he had to get rid of it, and Bechet wound up on his backside as he had a couple of defensive players, Hood and also Weatherspoon, coming after him big time.
Well, now you have to think of this. You have to go for it on 4th because you have to have a touchdown to stay in it.
Right.
So now you can start thinking about Terrell Sutton. You don't have to get 7 or 8 yards, 4 or 5, anything like that, but get Sutton maybe in space on a screen, maybe get him out of the backfield, a shovel pass or something. That is in play here because it's 4th down territory.
Quarterback draw, and now it is going to be 3rd down and goal. He took it to around the 8-yard line. Weatherspoon and Hood combining for the tackle.
And for Missouri, their defense has struggled all year. One of the worst pass defenses in the country. And here they come with 2 downs, and Chase Daniel has to stand on the sideline and hope the defense can come up.
C.J. Bechet, senior out of Sacramento, has a 3rd down, but he's still got 2 downs because they got to score a touchdown if they don't get one here. Here comes pressure from the outside, and he is hit as the ball is thrown. It's recovered by Northwestern. It is a turnover, and it is 4th down at the 32-yard line. And Sean Weatherspoon is the man who was making the tackle
And this was confusion on the offensive line. The center had pointed out this linebacker, Christopher. They're going to slide this way and leave the outside rusher to come totally free. Sutton, the running back, was over to that side. The center reset his line, and they did not pick up the outside rusher. A mental mistake up front by an offensive line with all first-year starters in their first bowl game. Boy, that's a tough one.
So we are having a review on the play.
We're wondering if that ball came out of Bechet's hands.
You know, if you're Pat Fitzgerald, what a worthwhile challenge, because a world of difference.
I think it's a fumble.
I do too. It looked as though it came out of his hand before the arm started forward.
I agree.
Look again, judge for yourself.
But again, with Sutton lined up to the left, the running back, you know you have an extra blocker over there. The center slid the line to the left. Perkins, just a freshman, slid his line to the left, and that left Weatherspoon totally open. He's got to know we've got an extra blocker to our left. I've got to take everybody to the right to pick up Weatherspoon. Weatherspoon comes totally free and helps force the fumble.
I'll tell you, Weatherspoon.
After review, the call on the field has been confirmed. The arm did not go forward. It is a fumble, 4th down.
So you can see and hear from Jack Childress, the referee. How about Weatherspoon? And I'll tell you this, he's my MVP. I know what Jeremy did to put them back in this ball game, but Spoon, 13 tackles and 3 tackles for a loss. And that play right there is as big as any, particularly if they win this football game.
And now you're going to get a 4-man rush by Missouri. No blitz. You're going to play way back. And for Northwestern, I know you want guys in the end zone. I think you got to leave at least one guy short running across the middle in case nobody's open around the 10-yard line to see if he can get it in.
Now here we go. Pressure from the outside. Going to go for it all at the end zone, which he has to do. And the ball is knocked down. In fact, may have been intercepted by William Moore. And the Missouri Tigers, they called it incomplete, have come from behind and have won over the Northwestern Wildcats. So let's take one more look at this all-out attempt by Northwestern with a 4th down and goal from the 32-yard line.
Well, Northwestern had to go for the touchdown because Chase Daniel and Jeremy Macklin had hooked up for the touchdown. They run it all out. They are running a little bit of a crossing route there with Rasheed Ward, but that was covered. Weatherspoon, the linebacker, was running with Ward, so Bechet didn't have a choice but to heave it up. And a big play by William Moore, the senior who led the nation last year in interceptions, missed a bunch of time with an ankle and the rib injury this year, comes up with a huge play.
Here you can see Chase Daniel and his reaction as his ball club not only won, but they had to come from behind against a very determined and well-coached ball club from Evanston, Illinois. And let's go down to the sideline, Jack Arute.
With Chase Daniel and Gary Pinkel, the head coach. And, Coach, I want to ask you first, taking it to overtime, the way it went, what was going through your mind when you saw that it was going to have to go to the extra period?
Well, I thought we were going to make the kick, and but you know, Jeff Wolford doesn't come out all the time. You know, there's a lot of plays could have been made out there, but hey, you move on, and you know, fortunately we made the plays and win it in overtime.
Chase, you said earlier this week that you had never lost 5 in your career.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say about these guys? You know, I made it really hard on our team today with 3 interceptions, but, you know, what counts is at the end. You know, the coach always says win the 4th quarter. Hey, well, we won overtime and the 4th quarter today, and that's why we're victorious.
Coach, there's a special moment that you're going to have to endure in the next couple of hours, and that involves a wristband that you put on at the funeral of Aaron O'Neal. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, that's, you know, I've had that on there since his funeral 4 years ago, and he's done playing today. You know, he played more his number today, and we did this for Aaron O'Neal, and that was something we talked about all along, and I'm just really happy that we could do that, and I'll do it privately.
What are you going to have some words with the O'Neal family?
Oh, yeah, I will. They're a great family.
All right, but it's time to celebrate, guys.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Congratulations.
So the final score in overtime, Chase Daniel overcoming. You just heard him say it. This game had to be won by my teammates in spite of me with 3 interceptions in the final 30-23. For Ed Cunningham, Jack Arute, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Ron Franklin. Coming up next on ESPN is SportsCenter. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Our congratulations to the Missouri Tigers of the Big 12 Conference. They are winners in overtime.